Let's get started with episode 179. My name is Tim. I'm here with Kyle.
Hello.
Jeffrey.
No.
And Derek.
Just no.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Dan might join us later. Not sure. If you don't yet, make sure you go check him out on Twitch at Dapper_Chocobo. I believe he is doing some streaming over there. If not tonight, he's doing it pretty regularly. So make sure you go check that out. There's not a ton of games out. There is one major game that came out this week on PC, and it'll hit consoles next month in Baldur's Gate 3. So we'll talk about that, and then we're gonna actually do any kind of quick hits you have, other things you're playing or watching you want to highlight. Because at the very end of the episode, we're gonna do our Tryhard Tracker segment, where we take a look at some topic in the gaming industry or some takes in the gaming industry, and then we are going to gauge or rank, however you want to do it, the most try-hard takes. So we'll go through that. It's always fun. It's always fun to make fun of things. And we'll mix some headlines in there too. There's a few headlines of note. But let's start first with the big game of this week. That's Baldur's Gate 3. It's out on PC. It's been in early access for a while. You guys were telling me that this version of early access wasn't just a kind of buggy version of the game and it's an early build. It's like a very limited portion of the game, right? You don't even get they're scratching the surface is what it sounded like of what the full game is. Is that a correct assessment?
It's the first act.
It was like a big demo, kind of.
I mean, there's a lot of content, but yes, you definitely weren't getting like the full game. You weren't even getting close to it.
So now the full game is out on PC. It is getting pretty universal praise from what I've seen, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn.
Except for other developers.
The developers are mad because
this is not the standard, okay?
This is, dude. That's one of the best compliments a game can get. Is
I know.
Yeah.
Do not look at this game as something to compare any other games we make to, because it's too good. It's too good. It's too big. There's too much to it. Yeah.
Who was saying that? I guess I'm out of.
I know at least one of the Diablo developers was saying that, which is rich, coming from them. But
go fix your game.
Yeah.
Shut up.
But I can't remember who the biggest one was, but there was like just a general sentiment. It could have been just a dirt sheet rumor or whatever, but
was it because of what Larian said that they're like, you buy our game, you get everything? Whereas,
yeah,
like that would be a shot at Diablo, which is like, hey, we're gonna trickle stuff out, and we got all these different versions and bullshit. Okay,
wait, so
maybe that's
are going after them for not gouging their customers.
For that, and for the game not being broken
at
launch,
wording that too
like
strongly, like
and the game having so many choices and like listening to their community during the early access, all of this stuff that they were doing completely right as a developer.
Dude, it's the equivalent of you see someone who finally gets their stuff together and like gets in great shape and whatever, and you're just like, oh, look, who wants to waste their time doing that? Like, and I've seen it before, fit shaming or whatever you call it.
Sure,
someone
sure.
Decides to go.
Like,
it's the same kind of thing. Like, you have success
more when I lost weight than when I was fat. Like, obviously, when I was younger, I got called fat a lot. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking as an adult. Nobody said anything, and then when I started losing weight, I would get more like, hey, your clothes are too tight. You're losing too much weight. You need to stop.
They're right about the
I'm
clothes
not
being
listening
too tight,
to any.
Yeah, your clothes are. We need to talk about the clothes, buddy. I don't know.
If I could even just get clothes on you for this podcast at some point, I'd be stoked. You know?
Yeah. No, but Derek, you're right about that, and I think
shirt's baggy.
So
it's similar here. There's some sort of and we'll get to the actual game in a second, but that is interesting. There is something to like, oh, you are highly successful and did a really good job, and there's not a whole lot of holes I can poke into your success here. So I'm just gonna go after the fact that like, that's not a realistic standard.
In a really weird way and project them out in some extremely toxic way.
Right.
Yeah. I had a buddy who lost a whole bunch of weight, and there's ups and downs to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Kind of like Derek is saying, like now, like it's weird that people would make a comment about it now instead of that. I don't know. It's just strange. People are strange.
I'm convinced that a lot of social media influencers who get a lot of followers, if they're like a really good looking person, a lot of times there's like hate followers who are just so mad at them. And get angry with every post. So whatever. There's a lot of that out there. We can't control that. But Baldur's Gate 3 is in the wild. Kyle, did you play it on PC yet?
No, my little laptop is not strong enough, and I'm just it hasn't been verified enough on Steam Deck for me to be like, yeah, but I'm gonna play it on console.
What is it listed as on Steam Deck?
It's playable, right, Derek? You looked into this.
The yellow.
Yeah, I did play it too, so I can speak to both PC
wonderful.
and Steam Deck. And when I say I played it for a couple hours. So I'm not talking
That's
like
enough
I
to get a
booted
feel
up
for
just to
how it
make sure it
feels,
worked.
I think.
Yeah.
So to talk about Steam Deck first, I feel like it's like the portion I played, it's very, very verified. Like I did at first when I booted into it, I was like, wait, this isn't working right. Like it's treating me like I'm playing on a PC with a mouse. I don't want that. I want the controller feel. And then that's when I realized I just had to go into the Steam Deck settings for that game and change the controller settings to controller layout. It was defaulting to like a mouse type setting.
Even that kind of settings change.
That's why it's not verified. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that kind of setting change can keep it from being verified. That's exactly it.
True. Yeah.
So I went in there, changed that, then booted it up. If you just do auto detect, it'll default it to medium. You can actually change the AMD, like whatever it's called, their whatever's the equivalent to NVIDIA's
DLSS.
Yeah, but the FSR, you can switch it. It defaults to balanced, and it's very ugly if you do balance, and it's unnecessary. It doesn't run better. So you can change it to either quality. I went ahead and did it to ultra quality, so it drops the frames to probably about 30 frames per second. If you do quality, you're going to be playing at 40 frames. This is not an action game. 30 to 40 frames
it's a turn-based
per second.
slow. Yeah,
100% completely okay. As far as looks, it felt like I was playing a very vibrant Switch game. You can really see that it's 800p. But I feel like it's decent looking.
And so you could do a full playthrough on this if you had to.
Yes.
The HUD prompts on the screen, are they showing as your controller prompts? You know, like A is for A, X is for X, or okay, just making sure. Because sometimes when you have to like choose it in the options menu, it just it kind of assigns everything as a hotkey, and you don't really get that transferred to the HUD.
It'll still say shift or something.
Everything on the Steam Deck was working like I had an Xbox controller in my hand.
That's amazing.
So like the game doesn't actually tell you to push A or anything. The game already has stuff assigned that you do. You just know it. But it works the exact same as how I was playing it on my PC. And that's what I wanted. Because here's why I like this, unless I just played it a completely different way in early access. One of the big updates for me that I love in full release over early access is early access to move my character around. It was basically, and I was playing with a controller, but it was that keyboard and mouse. It was that Divinity Original Sin movement where it's like you scroll over like you're using a mouse, you click to move to an object, and then you walk to the object. This is I'm playing it as a third-person perspective where I'm walking around and I'm controlling it with my analog stick. So it feels like I'm playing, yes, I'm going to say the game again, Dragon Age Inquisition, because I'm just moving around and exploring the world the way I want to explore it. So I like that. I absolutely love that. That was like a big plus for me. And then when you get when you get into the combat, that's when it'll open up a little bit and you can see the field of view more, and then that's when you obviously start doing the strategy of turn-based combat. But as far as comparing this to my early access, I already told you guys I played for like 12 hours. So I do know what I'm facing in a lot of the areas I'm going into now. I actually got further in the main quest or in the main release than I did in early access, and I played a lot more in early access because I just right before we logged on hit a point where it was like you might want to clean up everything if you want to go through this you want to keep going with this storyline. I was like, oh, this must be the main story line because there's another one that I thought was also a main quest. So I was like, this must be the main quest. Let me go because I've got a ton of stuff I still want to do. Let me go back and do that. So I've advanced the story more in this playthrough than in my early access, but I explored more in my early access, if that makes sense. And I'm doing things quicker because two reasons. One, I know the map a hell of a lot better. And two, I'm playing on easy mode. Early access didn't have easy mode. And there is a
easy mode.
Huge
Is there a big difference?
Early access, I was getting my ass whipped.
I know.
All the
These
time.
games are hard, man. Yeah, I'm so
like
glad
the
there's an easy mode.
That first area, again, if you haven't played it yet, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But there's like this. Well, after the ship. So after you get off the ship, because the ship part's pretty easy.
Well, no, there's an enemy in the ship that I'm playing it. Spoilers and surprise. There's a part in the ship where there's like a big boss or whatever, and I'm sitting there with all 3 members of my party, and I'm like, let's get him! And then one of my members of my party goes, we should probably just go to the console. Like, you should probably ignore him because he's not taking any damage. You can't beat him,
and you get an actual like really good weapon.
Oh, you can if you. Okay.
Oh, you can.
So the strategy to beating him are a good strategy because he's got over 100 hit points and you have like 18, like 18. So the strategy is to collect these 3 purple barrels. They're not barrels, but they're alien barrels. And you collect them, right? and then you surround him in it. And then when you get him to about 50 HP, you just shoot the barrels and they all explode and he dies. And then you loot him and you get like his he's got like a blazing sword.
That's so cool.
Which would have been perfect for my character, which by the way, because Kyle and I have talked about this a lot, so I'll just say it on the podcast. My intentions were to play a monk. And I actually wanted to play, I'm forgetting now, the class was like a dark, whatever it's called. Like it's a specific class that they created for this game that has like more story. It's like an origin class, but it's a custom character. Whereas, for those who don't know, all the characters in the game, like your not side quests, but your party characters, they're all origin characters. So you can actually play the game fully as one of them if you want, to experience their story.
Yeah, but there's like, they only have like 5 of the classes or whatever, or 6, and there's like actually like 8 or 9 or something like that. Yeah, there's way more classes than that.
And then there's one where you can experience his origin story, but he's a custom character, and it's the dark something. I'm forgetting the other word. I originally picked that class and then screwed up the whole setup with my character. That's the screenshot I sent to you guys in the chat. I started out as that guy. He seemed like he was going to be pretty cool, but I ended up canceling him out after a couple hours of playing, and I just redid another character. And I went ahead and went with a fighter class. Nice. I just felt like it fits my play style, and the weapons I want to use, the armor I want to use. There's like, the fighter has like no boundaries. You want to wear heavy armor, wear heavy armor. You want to carry a 2-hand sword or a great sword, do a great sword.
Does the gear have like a stat requirement you have to use them?
Yeah, there's certain characters where like one of the rogue characters, this dude right here, who I actually
white hair?
Yeah, white hair dude. He's a rogue, and you can equip medium armor, but it says when you equip it, it says this doesn't go with him very well. Like, you're gonna have negative effects for it. It weighs him down, so he can't be as athletic.
Be as sneaky. Yeah.
So he needs light armor. Yeah.
He needs light armor. So there's definitely stats, positive stats and negative stats, sometimes that are behind the scenes if you don't know what you're doing, that can make this game, as Kyle and I were talking about, more difficult than you really want it to be. Because on the standard difficulty, again, if you're a pro player, you're gonna roll your eyes at what I'm saying. I'm sure it's fair and balanced, and it's a great experience for you. For somebody that, like me, who this is a fairly new gameplay style for me. I've completed a few games with this type of strategy RPG, but this isn't my norm. So I'm definitely a noob. I feel like beginner is perfect for me to learn the systems, experience the story without so much frustration, which, by the way, you can definitely still die. And then hopefully get good that when I experience the game multiple times, which that is the plan. No, I'm not going to probably do it back to back, but I think this game's going to be like a Dragon Age game for me, where it's like, hey, I missed this game. I need to come back to it. Plus, the big difference is with like Dragon Age, yes, there's a lot of like side stories and stuff like that, a lot of different characters, party system like this, but you're really just going through one campaign. And even though this game has technically one campaign as well, you're going to discover if you guys play this game, every single character has secrets about them that are like tremendous. They're not like, oh, well, you know, I'm gay, my sexuality, isn't that cool? These are like significant changes that can alter the game. Like one girl that you first meet on the ship, she's got, it's actually, let me see if I can point, it's her, and that's
you pick her up like the very first thing you do,
and she will not tell you what it is. Now what I did is, because she was giving me attitude, is I booted her to my camp, and then it defaults that I actually carry her item around now. Because she wouldn't tell me anything, and it's a big part of the story. And I just got to the part of the story where these, and I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to tell you what race or anything like this, but these certain badass people were like, we're here to find this weapon that was on the ship. That's that right there. And I have it, so I'm telling my party member, hey, I know they're your people. Can we not tell them we got it, right? Because these people seem off. So there's a lot going on. Like, every decision that you make is huge. And here's the great thing, that this is the reason, like, you guys were making fun of me, because I was like, well, the rolling of the die is so freaking awesome. But this is a part of the game that I absolutely love. It's like, I've made a decision. This is how I want things to play out. So I'm going, for instance, I'll use this one as an example. I'm trying to secretly tell this girl, do not tell them the truth. Play along. Well, you have to roll to do that correctly. And if you don't hit the number, which my number was pretty high, and you fail, and the reason I know this is I ended up having to play through this twice. I failed the first time. They ended up fighting me and absolutely obliterating me. I'm like, dude, how I can't beat these guys. Like, let me try this over again. So I'm dead, right? So I tried it over again. I successfully rolled a die on trying to manipulate them, and the outcome's completely different. They don't fight us at all. They believe one thing, they go on with their business, and now I'm carrying on to the next section of the game. So like these decisions are huge. So it's not just, oh, I just make this decision, the weight of the decision is on me. It's also the weight of the decision plus whether the outcome actually even happens in your favor. It's all based off the system and the die. So I absolutely love that it's like you're in control, but you're not really in control.
And I saw a lot too, you're gaining inspiration. So like there's way to get that dice roll number down so it's easier to hit by like making the right decisions and conversations.
Not only that, like I did
who your class is, who your
exactly your class, and like where you balance, I guess, your skill points or whatever. If you make a decision that's based on one of your abilities or whatever, and your ability is like, oh, that adds 3 to my dice rolls, like you're gonna definitely hit over. Like the first decision you make is like in easy mode is like 2. Roll a 2. Roll above a 2. Yeah. And I easily hit that because I was +3 already.
I failed one. I got a 1 on a 2, and I was like, "Are you serious, game?"
Yeah, really? That's the game, though, man. Yeah, that's D&D.
Like really? And by the way, 1 is an automatic fail. So even if you have like a +2 or a 3, and you have to hit a 2, if you roll a 1, they're like,
okay. So it takes that number in consideration first, and it's not just
it's an auto fail.
Yeah. All right. That's good.
But there's just a lot going on, and it's my type of game. It's high fantasy. I love high fantasy. It's obviously why I talk about Dragon Age all the time. This is my world. Just a little bit. And that's why every single, let's talk about Dragon Age right now. Every single character is interesting. Not one of them is, I'm sure, well, one of them's kind of annoying, but he's still charismatic and cool. He's just very needy, and even his neediness is like, hey, I need this from you. Like, if you don't give me this, I'm gonna, like, something bad's gonna happen. And I'm like, well, dude, I don't trust you. Like, I don't trust any of them, first of all. And I'm like, if I give this thing to you, like, what's the outcome gonna be? But then if I don't give it to you, what's the outcome? So then you ask that question, right? And guess what they tell you? I can't tell you anything. So everything's a mystery. You have to make all these decisions going, and that I'm playing the game like how I saw somebody on Steam say, "Hey, don't go through don't go look at other people's games.
I saw that too.
Walk through.
Yeah.
It was like, just play it your way and react to
play
the
it your way, because there's so many different outcomes, and you can't. The fun of it is that you can't control everything.
What was the number
fun
for
of D&D? You know, like
what was the number for
capturing that?
The differences in the ending? It was like, even if they're micro, 1,700, right, or something like that.
17,000.
1,000? Okay.
Yeah.
So even though they're micro differences in some points, like that's how much your choices matter as an individual. Instead of being like, well, I don't want to make the wrong choice. Like they want you to play it your way. Yeah. That's really interesting. With the exception being, for me, is the build. I went to Fextra Life for the build, and they pointed me to
that I understand, right? You want to be effective.
You know, when people play D&D, people oftentimes look at build. You know what I mean? So again, the parallel still exists.
No,
I went with the Druid Gold Dwarf.
A guide for my build,
really,
but I might have to if I find that I'm struggling. But like I said, right now on easy, granted, again, I played early access 12 hours, and I got decent at it in early access, not playing on easy. So I feel like I am getting better on understanding the systems, understanding things that they're asking me to do, thinking outside the box. Like that's a big thing in combat. Like I do like that Larian came out and said, "Hey, your go-to is not going to work in every battle. Like every battle is a puzzle. You must solve that puzzle." And there was like one area where it's like a semi-secret area. Like if you go to the location, the door's locked, and there's what I would call an obvious way to get in there. But you get in this like secret area, and then you're immediately like bombarded by enemies. And if you try to fight them in your group, and I'm talking early game, if you try to fight them, there's a good chance you're gonna die. Pretty easily, because there's more of them and they're more powerful. But they're literally standing in a group because they're trying to get through a doorway right by a barrel. So if you just shoot a fire arrow, boom, and it blows up all of them. So that's an easy one, but that's early game trying to show you.
That's cool though.
Guys,
I like
use
that.
the environment. Yeah. Right? Even like in boss battles, sometimes the boss will be under a chandelier or something like that. Shoot the chandelier drops on them, and you do.
That's the kind of stuff that reminds me of like Marvel Midnight Suns. It's very like, hey,
cool.
keep an eye on the stuff around you. You know, you can knock them into it.
Like that Venom fight, right? Early on in that game.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then
there's a lot of look at the thing to hurt the guy, you know.
And enemies are doing it to you too. So like if you bunch up, and they'll throw like oil at you, and then they're gonna shoot fire arrows at you.
Derek, do you remember we played multiplayer Divinity Original Sin 2 and we got oiled and then fired ourselves and died? We were like, we probably shouldn't be.
We killed ourselves more than the enemy killed
so quickly. So Jeff, it's a nice surprise. This is not a game I expected you to get right away, but you got it. And you're trying it. What do you think so far? And of course, Kyle, we'll get your thoughts on it too, as a big fan of the series when you do play it. So we can keep talking about this in the weeks to come.
And this is pretty much, for me, this is like more of a trial experience.
Okay.
To see if I want to get it on PS5 because when it comes out on PS5, you know, Kyle and us, we already have our circle of people that are like all going to want to party up. So I'm just like kind of trying to determine now, like, is that something I really want to do?
Totally get it.
Because the combat is typically not for me. Like, it's just not at all. But I went through my character customization and enjoyed the crap out of that. I just referred to Fextra Life Direct. I literally need to be told what to do in those type of
I love that channel.
scenarios.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just too much. It's like too much information in a game like this.
Well, even in, I will say
just
this
tell me.
before.
Just tell me where to go, you know?
Because I didn't know this. This is why I'm cutting you off. I'll let you obviously finish. But like, I didn't know that your race that you pick, your background, all of that like impacts. Like they want you to do certain like backgrounds go with certain races and stuff like that. And I was like, damn it, I already did my character and I'm a few hours in. I'm not doing that. But I was like, damn, I wish I would have known that.
Yeah.
Because I would have picked this race to go with, you know, a fighter or whatever. I think I did end up picking a race that goes with a fighter, kind of. But there's better races for a fighter than what I picked. But anyways, I get what you're saying. There's so many levels. Yeah. It's not just, hey, pick what interests you.
There's your background. There's your race, which is obviously more than one choice. Skills and then abilities. Even more than that.
Races too, right? Like you can do like
spells.
half elf, half human.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's cool.
You can do concentration. Well, this is for the druid, obviously. Concentration.
So you have a dwarf druid, Jeff?
Yeah, I do. A gold dwarf druid, and obviously you can pick different body sizes.
Wait, hang on. What's the name?
Oh, I actually went with the normal one, Gustanov. It's actually a normal name.
All right. I was expecting like Smelly Pits or something.
Yeah.
No, but he looks stupid. He's got like a Jufro that's blonde and curly, and like a villain mustache where it's like twirls up. It looks so stupid. I love it.
He's like part Will Ferrell. Okay,
pretty much. He looks like Will Ferrell and Barbie, but short. Anyway, once I got that done, and then they were like, okay, now you got to design your guardian, and I'm like, oh, F off. I don't have to do anything with a guardian. I don't want to do this again. But the guardian was just cosmetic. So I ended up making it look like a badass who's like a giant. Kind of like the scene in Dungeons and Dragons.
I used the default one that looks like Geralt. One of them looks like Geralt from The Witcher.
Really?
And I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do that.
That's fun.
He looks cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, those options are really rad.
Guardian's just like your companion, I'm guessing.
I'm not even at that point yet, so I don't know.
Neither am I, but like, I won't say anything. I'll spoil it. There's other characters that have that type.
But
that's cool. You design a character that it takes a while for you to even get to.
Yeah,
that's kind of
that's the part that takes the longest. And the Guardian is just like you can design their face and their skin, and like it's just cosmetic. There's nothing class related.
Kind of reminds me of the pawns and dragons, just from Dragon's Dogma, just from like. Here,
and you do pick the race too. Yeah, the race matters, I guess. But I did to brush up on this specific.
Race matters. Keep going.
Race matters, guys. In this game, race matters. Hashtag race matters. I played Divinity Original Sin 2 before this, but like only for half an hour, and I was just not vibing with the game like at all. And I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna want to play Baldur's Gate 3. There's just no way because it's the same developer." And they really didn't change a whole lot. Like, I mean, in the definitive edition specifically, you're able to walk around with your character and stuff. Like, I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say my experience with Divinity Original Sin was never point and click like Derek was describing, but
yeah, that might have been
an update.
Yeah,
that might have been okay.
Or it might have been the first release of the second game.
Could have been. Yeah.
But the controller support was there. It wasn't that. It was just like the story wasn't really interesting me that much. I don't know. The fantasy world just it was just a cumulative thing that like I just couldn't get past all of that in order to have fun with the combat. Whereas this game shows me story right off the bat and gets me invested, and I'm like curious of what the hell's going on that I want to see through the gameplay. Like and then I realized the gameplay is like Midnight Suns was basically this gameplay on training wheels with with a driving instructor, basically. Like it was like, you know, they were basically saying you can only do these attacks. You can only pick from these attacks. And you can move your character anywhere you want, but it costs whatever move points. I think they had something related to move points there, where you couldn't move all the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically identical here, but there's way more freedom. So that's a little daunting. And like Derek said, there's environmental attacks you can do, but Midnight Suns makes sure to train you on that before you start doing it. Like I remember early on in the game, because I got like 12 hours in that game or whatever, they were like, okay, now there's environmental stuff you can do. There's a barrel over there, go shoot it. They'll tell you. This game starts right away with that stuff, and you can choose to use that to your advantage or not. You have to figure it out. So there's no holding your hand with the combat on this. But once I kind of wrap my head around what it wants me to do and the controller support, because I'm using like a PS5 controller for this. Once I figured out like the controller and stuff like that, and like how quickly I can kind of select the attacks. That's another thing with Divinity Original Sin 2. I didn't feel like it was very quick. That's the thing with my turn-based games. I want them to be a little fast.
I got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, and this one's a little faster. And not only that, it's just pretty to look at. And yeah, the world is interesting. Like it's just everything together.
The presentation is better than Divinity. So
yeah, Divinity's a little.
Here's what I meant. And yes, you can play Divinity like point and click, and you can play Baldur's Gate that way. But on console and stuff like that, you can move your guy around with your joystick, and you're just walking around. But this, I'm talking about like the camera. You have full control of the camera. You can literally zoom in where you're just doing a third-person perspective.
Right up behind
your
the shoulder.
Walking you're walking like you're playing a third-person action game.
It's
so
cool.
It's the presentation in this game is leaps and bounds better than anything they've done with Divinity, and that's for me the big difference. And then I believe, and I've heard Divinity games have a great story as well. I didn't ever get as invested.
I felt it didn't just. Granted, I did not get that much time in 2, but like it just didn't start that way.
30
like it
minutes
just didn't
is
start
very
that strong
little for like a 200.
Yeah, no,
game,
it's a long game. Yeah.
Also,
but this game
to
starts off more interesting.
According to what I've seen
Sure,
online,
that makes sense.
according to what I've seen online, the Divinity Original Sin 2 stories are best when you pick a pre-made character. If you customize one, you picked the pre-made one? Okay. Yeah. I don't know if they're all good stories. I just think they're
I went with, I actually, like I did with Baldur's Gate 3, I was like with the best build and whatnot. And I looked up best way to play as a beginner, basically. And they were pick one of the pre-made, because some of their backstories are just so freaking good. And it's true, the backstories are good in writing. I just didn't see it in practice yet. Because I
hear you. Yep.
And then I was just horrible at the combat, even though I selected Explorer mode, I think, which is the easiest. Explorer Story mode. Story mode actually the easiest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like getting my ass handed to me all the time, and I'm like, oh my god, this is supposed to be the easiest mode. This is crazy.
I'm telling you, I'm guessing they didn't want me to fight those guys. They literally killed my party in like two goes.
That's interesting.
And I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to fight these guys.
I guess the developer practices that philosophy of F around to find out, where it's like they want the gamer to do that. They want the gamer to be like, oh, that was the wrong move, and then either make a different decision or re-roll over and over.
Does this game have you control all your party
all
at once, and then the enemy gets to do all their...
Actually, you control one character at a time, but you can switch characters and control them if you want to.
But it's your turn. You do all the moving and attacking, and then you end turn.
Your end turn,
switch turn. So Fire Emblem style. Okay, as opposed to
Fire Emblem, Midnight Suns. Yeah,
it's not like a speed stat determines which character is next. You know what I mean?
Actually,
it is. You're not everybody's going. Like I don't get to all 4 of my guys go, and then their 4 go. So if I initiate the fight, then I usually have the advantage, and all 4 of us normally will go first. But
then it intersperses after that.
Yes, but after that, it's built off your speed of your character.
And there's that first boss too, which you can totally choose to avoid to move the story forward. He eventually does that Octopath thing where he like gets 3 turns the next round, and you're like, mother effer, he's gonna kill all of us. Let's just go to the console.
And for your board game fans out there, it's version 5 Dungeons and Dragons rules. So everything 1-to-1 from the rule book. That's exactly what the mechanics of this game are.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah. So
it's cool that like in the inventory, when you go to your inventory, it's a menu option that's called character sheet, and that's what's really cool. Like they're leaning so far into the D&D aspect of it. It's like you couldn't mistake it for anything else. Like it's clearly
some of the most positive reviews I read was this is the closest you can get to simulating an actual tabletop adventure.
Even down to the narrator.
That's what I love it. That's why I love it. Cool. I love the feeling. No, I was never a hardcore D&D. I've talked about it on the show before.
Yeah,
I did play when I was younger with my brother, which he bought the game too. He's super excited to play it. Well, he is playing it. He was playing early access, and he didn't tell me, asshole. But he loves that type of stuff. So there's a lot of fond memories, and that's why I got excited by a lot of the systems, because I'm like, this just reminds me of my brother being a dungeon master and just throwing curveballs at us, and us having to make these difficult decisions and going, well, can you tell me more? No. Just roll your die, dude. What are you gonna do?
You know.
And that's what this is, but we get to see it. The
game's dungeon master is very rude. Like he's a very hard, that's, I've been hearing a lot of that too.
And you can't see his face while he's doing it.
No, he's just an asshole. He's staring at you and just going, just roll, baby. You don't know anything.
Like the characters are fleshed out really well. The way they react to everything that's happening in the world, all your decisions feels like real life. It doesn't feel like everything's like pre-baked, and then you make a decision that goes outside of that, and they're like, well, we're just gonna act like you didn't do that. Like the world and the characters are fully aware of everything that you're doing, and then you also have that to go back to what we were talking about with like the whole D&D vibe. You have this lady who's just telling you the story, like she's telling you what you're feeling, like your feelings. She'll be like, you feel this overwhelming burden to.
You have a legit dungeon master narrating everything that's happening. Like so and so looks across the table and sees blah blah blah, and looks like describing every emotion you're feeling.
Oh, there's an actual narrator.
Yeah.
She's got a great voice too. So
that's
got
her
a very
dungeon master who's explaining all the internal dialogue and internal feelings of everything.
Exactly. Even though we can see it, it's still such a nice touch because it's
not a whole lot of games have narrators. Just thinking from a video game perspective, I understand from dungeon master perspective, but like. The one that jumps to mind was Bastion. Remember that had a narrator, which was hilarious and awesome.
A hilarious one, yeah. And the Stories, that Stories game, whatever that was called.
Stories,
it was the same concept. They were ripping off Bastion basically, but same concept. Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. So it does sound like for Baldur's Gate 3, if you're a major D&D or tabletop whatever type of gamer, this is gonna click for you. And if you're not, this has a lot of potential. If you like high fantasy, deep RPGs, it could still really click for you. That's the vibe I'm getting.
That's what it was for me. It was actually Derek's post earlier today that helped sell me on it, because he didn't even mention the combat or the gameplay in his post at all. He was just talking like you specifically shouted out the choices and like the amount of choices, obviously, and like I don't know, just the story and the characters. You were talking about the world building. You didn't even mention the gameplay and the combat, which was the thing that was keeping me away from it. And I was like, you know what? If the other stuff is so good that you forget about to mention the combat, then I'm probably gonna love it. Like
it's funny. I see those kind of posts sometimes, and I'm sure you did the same thing, Jeff. You're like, crap, I'm gonna buy this now.
Yeah.
All you need is that little push, that really specific push. I just needed to hear one thing, and that was it. Dang it.
That's it.
I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this game because it just looks like I'll hate the combat. Like, I'll hate it so much. And sure enough, it's the same thing with Octopath. Same thing with Midnight Suns. Like, of course I like it. Like, damn it.
Of course.
Damn it.
It's good.
Well,
it's
much
really
like a D&D game, like, it's a lot of time is spent outside of combat. So, hopefully, like, maybe you won't get too overwhelmed. And I'm saying this on my behalf, too, with the combat, because a lot of it is just, like, making sure that you have the right item while talking to the right person and solving conversational puzzles and just, like, being dialogue-driven and exploration-driven. So... Mm-hmm. If it's doing all that stuff wonderfully and the combat may just not quite be for you, maybe it won't ever be so annoying enough where you're like, screw it, I can just keep on going through this game.
Oh, great, another battle.
Tolerating the combat, as much as I can and just getting that sweet, juicy story stuff. So.
And it's so awesome. And I know we mentioned it earlier, but I do want to tip my hat. And I know they were in early access for 3+ years, but they released a game that, like, the only complaints I've heard, I haven't dealt with any of it, is, like, frame drops that are, like, random. Again, it doesn't really impact the game that much, unless it's, like, constant stuttering. That would be annoying. But they're just talking about just random drops every once in a while. There's very little bugs in this game. That it's very, very much bug-free. And it really is very easy to play this game on Steam Deck. Like, we're talking about this huge 50 to 100 hour game that you can pick up on a handheld device and just be like, hey, I want to continue my playthrough from my PC, or hey, I bought a PS5 copy, but I also want to play on handheld. Like, it's cross save. You can play it on the Steam Deck. You have access everywhere for this game. I just think they really, really nailed it. And
you have to create a Larian Studios account or something, right? For your something
That's
like that. That's
probably how it shares across.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have to be it. But this is not a game. Cool. I'll be honest. I know I've hyped it and all that stuff, so you're probably not going to believe me. This is not a game that I thought had a shot at my game of the year. I really didn't. I'm not saying it is. Final Fantasy XVI still my boy, but if I play through this game and it keeps blowing me away with like story and characters and decisions that piss me off, that I'm like, I gotta replay this game, or I gotta redo this role because that really upset me. That's what's gonna hook me to the point where I'll be like, I cannot deny that this is worthy of Game of the Year talk. And it's just, this year's been absolutely nuts because we're 3 weeks away or 4 weeks away from Starfield. Could potentially be another game that's like this. Like, we don't know.
It's too much.
Isn't that the same day as PS5 on Baldur's Gate release? Yeah, so
that's why I was really excited.
So that's okay. Never mind. For those of us that pre-ordered Starfield, then we should at least be able to get several days into it before Baldur's Gate 3 comes out on the
PS5. They moved it up to August 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Wow.
You can play Starfield if you buy like the
super premium, ultra uber deluxe.
Isn't that the $100 version?
Or you pay $30 to upgrade on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
Okay.
I got the physical, quote unquote, physical version with the watch and stuff. So
that's right.
It's going to be available for me at Best Buy on 9/1. So I'm excited.
They should change it to August 31st because
that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Amazon changed theirs to August.
Because they'll have it already, so I bet they'll honor the street date. So
that'd be awesome. Well, this one for me, Baldur's Gate 3, the only game I have to compare it to that plays like this from this year is Octopath Traveler 2.
Okay.
So like, I would have to play this game more, but I'm genuinely excited too, based on all of the choices that I know I'm going to come across and how you can experience those choices. So I mean, it has a real chance to get, because Octopath 2 is still in my top 5 for this year. Like, I loved the hell out of that game.
Yeah, I guess that's a good game or whatever.
Good. Oh man, the writing's
We should talk about it again. We never talked about it.
I have in that game, definitely paint a picture.
Derek totally beat all of that game. He completed
every single point.
I never heard him say that. I didn't hear him.
I definitely.
He never talks about Dragon Age.
I actually beat New Game Plus. I just didn't talk about it on here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, listen, anyway, you guys have me sold on Baldur's Gate 3 as someone.
I might pick it up on Steam Deck next week. To be honest.
You have me really want to play this on the Steam Deck.
I think you should. I think you should start it now, unless you've got a ton of other games you're playing. Then forget what I'm saying. But
this is not a ton
I think
of
you
other
should.
games.
A matter of fact, yes, Derek. I have a lot of games I'm playing this year.
But I think you should play it on Steam Deck.
Zelda, which I
that dumb Zelda game. I still have to beat that.
Waste of time, Zelda. Who cares anymore?
Yeah, who cares? That game's old.
Yeah.
Remember when you could make stuff?
Hogwarts Legacy, I think that was 3 years ago. Is what I think that was.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, honestly.
There's no way that was this year.
Yeah, I know.
What was the movie? Shazam 2 was this year, and I was like, no, it wasn't. That was like 2020. What are you talking? Like,
I kept on saying, I was like, man, am I gonna have a Yakuza game on my list this year? Dude, you beat a samurai one earlier this year. I'm like thinking about the one in November. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about one that my concept of time is
time
is I have no concept.
Crazy,
of it.
man.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that's really that's a massive game. But that's the only one from this week that, if you're like me, add that to the list of games that you want to get to at some point this year, so you can speak to it and know what you think about it for Game of the Year, because it sounds amazing. But there's a few little games. This one I think got quietly delayed to 2024, and that's Paper Trail. Although it does look really pretty. There's a demo on Steam. It's a nice little adventure puzzler that Jeff's talked about before. Cute little game, but I don't think it's actually coming out, even though the Switch listing still says just August 2023 now. I don't think it's coming out this month. So
yeah, and even on Steam they're like 2024, but I thought they were going to release that at the same time as Switch.
I'd be surprised if Switch came out before the Steam, right?
Yeah. You never know what they're looking for, but that's from the Hue developer. And I love that game. So
yeah, and this one's just got a really cute little, almost Russian doll style, visual.
There's a lot of folding the edges of papers to extend to puzzles or to make solutions and to get your character from point A to point B or whatever. So maybe a Tim game, but not anybody else here.
Yeah, it looks adorable, but not like a must play right now. So it's fine that it's delayed. I played the demo for Sclash for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I did too.
And then I realized that like all you can do is like 1v1 if you have someone else there to play with. Otherwise, you're just hitting a non-moving. It's a fighting game.
It is, yeah.
And it's like one hit kill almost.
Yeah, they're like rounds, like best of 5 or whatever,
or
first to 5. First to 5 points, 5 hits. So like the round resets when you get hit or hit somebody.
I mean, I've never hidden the fact that I'm not a big fan of fighting games. That's not a genre that I really get into. Yeah. But this art style alone was worth a demo download and try. And the art style does look really cool.
Yeah.
But it's just not for me. And I know there's a story mode. I'm just like, nah, this isn't going to be a game I care about.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even care, because the story will still involve you in the combat. Like at some point, you're going to keep running into people and having to fight them in a stupid way. So no, thank you. But the art style is
very
awesome.
Cool looking.
Yeah,
very
totally
cool. I'll talk about Thronefall in a minute. That one just came out this week. I'm serious. There's a game with the word fall in it. It really did come out this week. Venba. Venba's like this little cooking adventure narrative game.
Dude, I saw that was one of those games I saw like at Tribeca or something, like Tribeca Games, and I was like, the hell is this crap? I'm not playing a cooking game. I don't know. Get out of here. This is like touchy-feely cooking crap. Get along with your family stuff. Oh, dude.
Derek's really rubbing off on you, man.
Yeah, he really is. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I don't rub off on dudes, buddy.
You know what? That's my bad for saying that. That's
Why don't you tell me how you rubbed off?
Oh, nice. Jesse's here. Jesse's here, everybody. I live in the Baja.
I live in the Baja. Down in the Baja.
Oceanhorn 2, which was, I think, an Apple Arcade exclusive for a long time, is now on other consoles. I remember trying the first one a long time ago as like this isometric, sort of Zelda-like, a little bit.
That's how it was always described to me, as Zelda-like.
Yeah. So I never played the second one, but I know people liked it. If you have a controller and played Apple Arcade, you could have played that. But anyway, that's out now. And then this game called Adore, which I actually just downloaded the demo for, which has another isometric action RPG creature collector kind of a game that I'll give it a try. So just a bunch of little games, nothing super notable outside of Baldur's Gate 3, which I think for most people who are playing that, and by the way, a lot of people are playing that. It's the second biggest Steam launch of 2023.
I heard Steam was like kind of crippling a little bit.
Yeah,
so many people were playing it like it was shaky.
I think they hit 80,000 or 800,000 concurrent.
It was 427 was their peak. Now, Hogwarts Legacy is still number one. That hit 879.
630,000 concurrent players and climbing.
Oh, dang. It could catch Hogwarts Legacy, huh?
It already passed all-time peak players of Apex Legends.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Right.
So this could be a history-making game, basically.
Well, Hogwarts Legacy...
like Dungeons and Dragons, man.
Hogwarts Legacy has the record right now. It's at 879,000 during its launch period. So that was Hogwarts Legacy's
Meanwhile,
peak.
AEW Fight Forever on PC is like 40.
And we make up like
40.
You and I make fun. You and I make up 5% of all the players of that game.
Wow.
No, it's more like in the hundreds, but it is really low. And you're like, how are you?
Once that game reaches $20, I'm all over it.
Yeah, you're in there with us. So yeah, that's all I've got for smaller games this week. Anything else that we're playing? We'll just go through the list here of other things we're playing, whether it's new or relatively recent. Maybe you're just not getting to it. We'll just do our quick hits now instead of closing with it. Dan was going to go first, but he's out. He can go first next episode. A few for me. Thronefall just came out this week. It's basically a little mobile game. Like I'll probably get a refund on it. Not because it's bad. I'm just not in like. I don't really want to play a mobile style game. It's a little tower defense, city builder or fort builder type game where you have to survive the night, you get attacked, and if you've set up a bunch of towers and you've built little units that'll run and defend, and you as the king can go out and upgrade your skills and you can go defend. But it's all kind of automatic. Like all you really do is like spend your little coins on upgrading stuff during the day, and then at nighttime all the attacking happens. So it has a very like mobile game vibe to it. So it's not bad. It's only $6, so it's not like it's a ripoff or anything, but it's definitely not for everybody. And I just don't see myself spending any more time with it. I find it to be charming, but not something I really want to play any more of. And I do kind of like having a couple bucks in that Steam wallet. Like if I get a refund of something that I bought and I'm like, I'm not going to play this anymore. Like having a couple bucks in that Steam wallet for some reason, next time I buy something, I'm like, oh, look, $6 off because I got a refund.
A discount.
A little discount. This game came out a few years ago called Heat Signature. Have you guys heard of Heat Signature? You already played it? Talked about it? I don't know if... I can't remember if any of you are fans of Hotline Miami, if you got into those games.
Yes, big fan,
yeah.
Are you? Okay. Yeah, so Heat Signature is... Here's my pitch for it, because I think it's excellent. I think it's a really good game. I think it was like $4 or $5. It was on sale. I'm not sure what it is right now. Anyway, it's Hotline Miami style gameplay with elements of stealth in there as well, because there's kind of like a detection meter before they'll attack you. But it's that overhead, fast-paced action where you can, throw things, attack them with physical weapons or guns. But it's all set in space. And so you are essentially like not really a bounty hunter. You're more like you're part of a crew that does jobs. And so you pick a character because you can always change characters. And if you die, you're dead for good and you take a new character on. It's one of those style of games. And so you pick a character, you accept the mission, and then you actually get into your little pod, your little spaceship, and you leave your home base and you are on this like space map It's not in 3D. It's just kind of a flat map, and you have to fly and successfully dock on the ship that you're trying to either assassinate someone or kidnap someone or steal some plans or whatever. So it's all very space-based. And then as soon as you dock, you get into these little rooms like Hotline Miami, and you have to go through and take out the enemies. And it gets progressively more difficult. Over time, you liberate bases, and so your little network of home bases starts to grow, and you unlock more characters and more skills and more weapons. So it's got some roguelike elements. It's got a lot of Hotline Miami, and it's all set in space. I just think it's so fun. I really enjoy it. So I recommend Heat Signature if you like Hotline Miami and if you like
that one out.
Space. I tried 3 different kind of games, really. The new games this past week. Thronefall was one, a little strategy game, which wasn't amazing. Heat Signature, which I think is great, that kind of stealth / action game. And then a Vampire Survivors like called Renfield Bring Your Own Blood. And it just came out in April, and it kind of think of like the visual style of the Scott Pilgrim versus the World game, sort of. It's sort of that pixelated style a little bit, but it plays like Vampire Survivor, just a little more zoomed in. And so the idea, of course, is you start out with one basic attack, and as you kill enemies, they drop your experience points, bugs. In this case, it's bugs that you collect, and then you quickly level up and start adding new weapons on that'll automatically attack.
It's based on the game or the movie. Gotcha.
I guess. Is Renfield the movie based on something else? Is it a comic? Is it a book?
It certainly plays like a comic, but I thought it was like an original.
Okay.
Like they just made it up. Oh yeah, that's right. It was a story based on a story by Robert Kirkman, who did Walking Dead.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, the visual style, like, I mean, like, if you look at the artwork of the Renfield Bring Your Own Blood or whatever, it's like the same color palette as the movie.
Okay. Yeah, so it plays a lot like Vampire Survivor, waves and waves and waves of enemies that you are just mowing down in these
so fun
puddles of blood. And so that part, I think it plays really well. It runs super smoothly. And the upgrades are fun. It's just not quite like the weapons and stuff aren't quite as satisfying. Vampire Survivor, I don't know how they did it. They just nailed this perfect balance, which is why I think all of us loved it so much when we played it. But this is really close, and it does a really good job of it. And so I think it's pretty fun. So I do recommend that.
Very surprising.
Yeah, I think
I didn't know this existed. I'm totally getting it because it's $5. So
yeah, it's super cheap. It's super cheap. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. I like the art style of this one too. I've only completed. Oh, and the upgrades are great. So like you collect tons of money. You always are unlocking stuff, which is a great feeling. I love unlocking stuff, and then you can use that money to purchase new weapons, new characters. There's only a few new characters. And once you defeat the boss, which I just beat this wolf boss, that shows up at the end of the first area, you can then purchase the next section to move on. So I think it's a great little Vampire Survivors like.
I did not know they were making a game that was like, because April is when the movie came out. I didn't know they were making a game to like coincide with that. And it's Skybound Games. It's Robert Kirkman's like company. Yeah. So that's really cool. And I kind of miss when people did that, like in the industry. Like,
I do too. I like a licensed game that coincides with.
I know it was most of the time bad in the '90s, but I still miss it. Like.
It was, but there were some, like, you'd have every once in a while Disney's Aladdin that was just like, oh, this is one of the best platformers.
Oh, yeah, I got to stop for that one.
Was.
Yeah. Last thing I'll mention, Sea of Thieves has the Legend of Monkey Island content out. And
yes.
I spent, maybe an hour and a half or so playing it today. What I haven't done yet is I haven't re-logged in to see what it's like to go pick up where I left off. I'm pretty sure there's checkpoints in the past Tall Tales, like Pirates of the Caribbean content. You do start again on a random island. You have to kind of go reactivate your quest or whatever, and it'll start you from a relatively close checkpoint of where you were. But you still have to redo some things. So that's one thing for me with Sea of Thieves that held it back from being it's a good game that to me can really get its hooks in me, but I can't call it truly great or excellent for everyone because it just is pretty obtuse in terms of saving it, walking away from it, coming back and picking up where you left off. They just never have really figured that piece out. I understand why they want to do this persistent online world, but there's just something about the hoops you have to jump through to get back into the fray, which has always been missing with that game a little bit. But anyway, so I played Legend of Monkey Island right away. You just walk up to the character's name is Kate or Katie. She's some pirate who's essentially there to tell you she needs help hunting down this Guybrush Threepwood character, and he's wanted. And so they as long as you accept, just like with their past content, this kind of this giant warp island appears. It's really close to the island you start on. You get on your boat, you sail right into it, and then the story kicks into gear. And you get a whole bunch of Guybrush. Am I saying his name right? Guybrush Threepwood. I think that's how you say it. Yeah. It's hard to say his name. But Guybrush narrates some stuff for you. You get to see the villain, and you see both of their ships as you're kind of sailing in. And then you see the first island called Melee Island that you have to sail to and dock. And then it becomes essentially, at least for the part that I've played, a first-person like adventure puzzle game. You have to start picking up items and figure out who needs what in order to get the chef to leave, so that way you can get the grog that'll put this guy to sleep, so you can steal his key. That way you can go unlock the clock tower. Like it's very.
It sounds just like Monkey Island. Yeah, I was gonna say.
As I was playing, I was like, this is so freaking charming and it's very clever. The city looks really nice. They really put a lot of time and attention and detail into the design. But if you don't like adventure puzzle games, some of that back and forth of like, oh, I got to get this item and go back to this guy and then run back to this dog over here, and then there's a bit of that. But I find it to be super appealing so far, and it's going to be a pretty big adventure from what I've heard. Like there's a lot of characters to meet, a lot of other islands to sail to, and there will be battles and stuff like that to happen. So I'm really impressed with it. I think they've done a really good job of incorporating these two worlds. They even kind of the pirates on Melee Island even make fun of Sea of Thieves as being like a place for weaklings, weak pirates. This is where the real pirates are. So I kind of like that. That's funny. I like that. And it's very clever too, very funny. It's got a lot of that Monkey Island humor.
Good.
So I like it a lot. I think it's worth your time if you're a fan of, especially if you're a fan of both of these games. If you're like, hey, Sea of Thieves is fun, and Monkey Island is a good time, and I think it's worth giving it a shot.
You want to try coordinating getting on sometime, Tim? Let me know, because I'd love to play that game.
All of us got to do it again.
You're a little more in tune with the obtuseness, like you were talking about earlier, of how that game gets started.
You guys just have to say aye whenever I say something, otherwise it's not going to work.
I'll do an aye. If you're leading the charge, I'll do an aye.
Gaston's on there to burn our ship.
Nope, to burn everything down.
Gaston is not allowed to play and burn down the ship.
Yeah, no, we've excommunicated him just from this game. Just from this game.
Just from this game. Yeah.
How about Yes Chef? In honor of the bear.
That'll work. That'll work. Because that is one of the first costumes you have to get to advance is a chef's costume. You have to get that.
Oh, good. That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad they implemented like the humor from the Monkey Island game, because I've only played one of those games, and it was the one from last year, and I really liked it. But like, I was like, man, when I heard the announcement, I was like, these two games go together so perfectly. Why did they do this sooner? Like, this is just perfect. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to hear it's pretty much playing out the way I was hoping it would.
It's another example, and this was the same with some of their other content, especially the Pirates content they put out. But when they put thought and effort and time into creating characters and missions and quests that are interesting and fun, it's like, oh, this game actually was on the verge of being truly excellent. It's just they decided to make it more of like choose your own adventure, do what you want pirating thing, and send you off on your way. Yeah. And that's why it was a limited appeal for like half of gamers, essentially. Just we're not even going to give it a look just because of that. So anyway, all that to say, I think this is an excellent mix of these two things. I'll be playing it some more, and I really, really enjoy it. So there you go. Sea of Thieves doing its thing. And as far as watching, there's one other thing I'm playing, one other thing I'm watching. Just rolled credits last night on Final Fantasy XVI, finally. Finished.
Wow, yes.
I didn't do all the S-ranked hunts. I only did one because I needed the Aura Calcum to finish that final blade. And you have to defeat one of the S-ranked monsters.
Oh, you sold that one, Jeff.
I know. I got it.
He's like, I know because I know what I missed. Is what I. So I did get that final blade, which it's a noticeable damage increase. It's like 40 additional damage points.
Oh, right. Okay, that's great. Good for you.
Yeah. It made an already easy game
so
even easier.
That game it's certainly one of the best games this year. The problem is it's 2023, and I was just kind of glancing at the list of other games. I'm like, man, as it finished, I was like, what a good game. Like this has got to be my favorite game this year, right? And I looked back and I was like, oh, but Resident Evil 4. Oh, Star Wars. I think I might like Star Wars. Zelda. Oh my gosh. How am I going to pick? I don't know how I'm going to pick.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Because there's a lot of really good games, and there's more coming out the rest of this year. It's actually stupid. I'm actually a little mad.
I'm really mad.
Still afraid
Spider-Man
of
2,
what's to come.
Please get delayed. Please.
And you know what's interesting is
don't delay it, please. Don't delay it.
Actually delay it.
If any of you
I need that console.
If any of you listening or watching haven't yet, go check out our spoiler cast if you've completed Final Fantasy 16, because now I can actually watch it too. So I'll go give it a look and a listen. But obviously, we as a group, all 5 of us, really, really enjoyed this game. And what's funny is that I think out of all of us, maybe this isn't the right statement to make, but I am probably the least interested typically in character action games. Like, I do like them, I don't gravitate towards them. Like, I really enjoyed Bayonetta. Devil May Cry 5 was the only Devil May Cry I ever finished. The rest of them I thought were fun, but I started to, like, when it's really fast-paced but repetitive combat, I start to kind of be like, all right, I'm out. Devil May Cry 5
aren't my type of game at all.
Devil May Cry 5 was brilliant in the way it did its combat, and I never felt like it was repetitive. And I think Final Fantasy 16, for the most part, was pretty good. Still had some elements of feeling repetitive, but by the end, I was kind of ready for it to be over, just combat-wise. I was like, I'm so tired of doing the same. I just wanted to see what happened in the story. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. I wasn't like dislike
it. We got you. You hated it.
Yeah, I hated it. But those are,
I mean, this is the internet, man. We go to the extreme here.
As I thought about it,
it was good. I just didn't love it as much. No, you hate it. We got it. We got it.
It's one or the other.
This is not the kind of genre that I usually gravitate towards, but I just kept picking up the controller because I just could not wait to see what happened next. And
the story is just so good. You know?
I think that's what separated Final Fantasy 16 from like a DMC or something like that. Like, I'm not saying those games don't have stories. They do. They exist. But I feel like Final Fantasy 16 had a more serious and, well, just overall better story. It was more engaging. I cared more about the characters and what was happening in the world. So I'm not a hater. I obviously enjoyed Bayonetta 1 and 2. Never played 3 really. And I love DMC and DMC 5, but I've never been a big time fan of those styles of games. They're not my thing, but Final Fantasy 16 nailed it.
Did it right, man. It did a really good job.
It did the combat like those games, but I think the story and the way it was shared to us, leaps and bounds better than most of those games.
Yeah, very, very good. Very artistic. Just good choices in how they told the story. Good direction. Just top-notch video game from start to finish. And then what's funny is, as I was playing that game, I've also been binging through Attack on Titan at the same time.
Yes.
Like,
oh, nice.
By the way, there's a lot of similarities in those main story threads. Not necessarily specific characters too much, but like the main story threads of what you think's happening, and then a thing's revealed, and like the scope of the way each of those stories grows. I was like, there's a lot of parallels you could make between these two properties, even though they're very different. But I mean that as a compliment to both, because they're both very fascinating. They're both very like, oh my word, I didn't know that's what was going on. You know, they both have a lot of those elements to it. And but I am I just finished, I guess, what's considered to be the first half of season 4. Episode 16, I think, was where the first kind of stopped, took a break, and then they did like 12 more episodes, and then they did
something like that.
2, and then 1. I forget. It's a weird countdown they're doing.
They did. There's 2 parts of the season, and then there's a 2-part finale. So
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Part 2 is like fall, I think.
I think I don't think they've given a date, but it's expected this fall.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It better be. No.
It better be. But I really enjoy it. It's interesting too when you binge through a show like that. You realize, they changed the opening and the closing and the song selection every season.
Time. Yeah, it's so cool.
And right now the season 4 closing song might be my favorite one. It's like this Japanese pop song that has this very eerie melody being played behind it that doesn't always sync up, and it sounds like chaos, and it sounds amazing. It's
chaos.
The second half of the last season song won awards. Like, it was so
that's
good.
Awesome.
And it's a metal song written for Attack on Titan.
And I think
that's cool.
One of the most famous J metal bands out right now.
Yeah, and the guy who does Aaron's voice must be a screamo singer, because
when he gets crazily mad,
I'm gonna tear them apart.
I'm like, this guy's in a screamo band. He's got to be. He's gotta be. Yeah, he just nails it. He just nails it completely. Yeah.
So really great show, Derek. I do think you would like that show. Is it ridiculous? Sure. Like, there's a lot of things about it but it's really good. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't mean that as an insult. It's just like, this is over the top, and I'm loving it. I mean, there's plenty of times where the dialogue at times kind of do other stuff while it's on, because they recap in the dialogue because it was episodic. They'll recap things you already kind of know. And there's so many times where they'll say something like, yes, this is like the worst decision we can make for mankind. And then they'll pause and they'll go, however, and then everyone in the room goes, like, what? They said, however, like there's a lot of those kind of moments. And so if anime is something you don't normally watch, like me, I'm not regularly watching anime, those kind of things take a little adjusting to, just the way that they're trying to portray the impact this conversation is having and like how important it should be to you, the viewer. It's just a different way of communicating that compared to other things. It's not bad.
Especially when it's like like in Japanese culture, that makes sense to them. That's how they talk every day. But when you're dubbing what they're doing, it doesn't sound natural.
Dude, once I noticed
American English, whatever.
It's like noticing a nose whistle when someone's talking. If you don't hear it, you might not notice it. But if you hear it once, then you're going to hear it the rest of the speech or whatever. So like once I noticed that a lot of the dialogue, when they're trying to say something important, a character will be talking and then they'll pause and go, however, like that is used probably like 24 times just in the last few episodes I've watched. I'm like, man, they do that a lot.
Yeah, but you're right. That's something because I started the show from, I don't know if you just started on season 4 because
I went ahead and just rewatched all of it.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Yeah, so I started from the beginning and I kind of got used to the cadence.
Me too.
Because it was like, okay, well, it's an anime.
I find it to be so charming. Like that's not an insult to it at all.
Yeah, not at all.
Very charming, and I'm enjoying it. And I see why it's one of the most beloved ones, and one of the most like. I feel like this one has broad appeal compared to a lot of anime shows out there.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot of American, like even Chad on Dudesy. Like it's one of his favorite anime. He barely, like I wouldn't call him an anime expert, but he watches the ones that a lot of Western audiences that don't really watch anime love, like One Punch Man and this. Basically, like he loves those.
Yep. No, it's very, very good. Highly recommend to folks. Kyle, what about you? What are you playing, watching?
Well, last week I missed the Expanse talk. There's not much to talk about other than I played it and I thought it was great. Happy to have Telltale back.
New episode this week, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but I spaced that guy. I don't care. You get to choose. So I spaced the shit out of that guy. He was trying to spin some sort of story, and I was not having it. Spaced him.
These two guys did not, so they're gonna regret that. I think later.
Maybe.
No, y'all didn't spit. Screw that dude. I spaced that guy so hard. And then whenever he was like outside, I was like, bye bye. Anyways, yeah, that was good. I really enjoyed that game a lot.
Press X to bye bye wave.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of moments that like there were a couple of really big decisions. I was just like, oh, this is rough. This is really gonna have some consequences. Yeah, so that's been really great. I'm super excited. That's what is it? One every week or one every other?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. Okay, 5 episodes.
Yeah, 5, and then there's a bonus one if you got that deluxe version.
I did, dude. I love the
Expanse. I don't know when that's going to come out, though. Deluxe. But yeah.
I think it comes out like right after.
Like an epilogue episode or something they're going to
I think it's a prequel to the show for Christian's character, the Christian character.
Okay.
The Middle Eastern lady with the smoky voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's in Assassin's Creed Mirage later this year.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool. Awesome.
She's in a lot of stuff. She's probably been in Assassin's Creed before.
Probably. Who knows?
Been in a,
I wish there was some way to find out. If only there was a
there's
way.
No way.
There's no way to know. We will die.
I feel like she's from Knights of the Old Republic games, too. Like, she may have been in there. Like a voice
I don't know. Yeah. She's definitely got a voice for games, that's for sure. I have also beaten the Remnant 2 twice now.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was running through a game with a buddy, and then he was running through my game with me, and we beat his game, and we beat my game. Beat it twice. I'm already on my third playthrough. I'm gonna beat it here probably in a couple nights again.
Wow.
All the roles have been different. All the bosses have been different. This game is out of control. Like I thought this game was gonna sneak in a low like 15 to 10 like area where I'm just like, yeah, this game was fun. It was fun like the last game was, but like I did my stuff and I moved on. Nah, this is the game I keep coming back to, and it's like in my top 5 right now. It's just like one of my favorent third-person co-op games I've ever played.
That's so
maybe
cool.
Ever.
MLG Kyle.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe it, and I had to go back to beat that boss like overpowered the second time because it just feels like he gets harder. Like the game knows how many times you've beaten the game. It feels like, and it's like no, it's harder for you now. Sorry, buddy.
Does it do a new game plus or have end game content?
Yeah. Like you keep on, like what you do is you re-roll your adventure, and then what it does is like it puts the similar worlds that you just went through, but kind of remixed with new bosses and all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, there's a way to just like endlessly play, and I've been jumping in with Jason Marshall. He's been in our group and a couple other groups and stuff like that. He's been a blast to play with. That guy really knows his Remnant. That guy's really good at these games. I got another buddy to just start playing, so we just started playing through his game recently, and like his first world roll was better than any roll that I've ever seen on that world before. And I'm like, dang it, like, and he's just a new guy playing, and he's getting stuff that I've never seen before and weapons that I can use. It's just crazy how this game is mapped out, where no matter how you're playing it, like it just feels like you're experiencing new things. So the game really is blowing me away.
That's how a sequel should be done, especially from a studio like this, where they had a lot of promise with the first game, but it wasn't quite there.
Good bones,
Good bones and then they were like, yep, and now we've really
put meat on
the pieces
bones
together. I love hearing that, man.
Do you have a class? Because it sounds like you played different classes through each one of the playthroughs. Is that right?
No, I've been sticking to what I know.
Oh, okay.
But you have a secondary class that you can choose, and I've been kind of testing that out. Yeah. So I went medic for a little while, and then I got my puppy, and now I'm playing with the dog.
I love the handler, dude. The handler's so fun.
Yeah. But there's other ones that you don't start with, other classes that you unlock too, and like getting those is so crazy. And guys, there's like invisible walls. There are ledges that aren't seen. There are things you can jump to that look like you're going to jump into a gap, and suddenly like there's a platform. Like
Indiana Jones.
This game is so densely secret hidden that it's crazy. So every time I go somewhere and if something looks familiar, my buddy Rennie will be like, "Hey, there's a secret wall right here," and like he'll just like walk straight through it, and there'll be like a gun I've never seen before in there, and it's like, God, this game is. Is anyone ever going to figure out everything? Like, is there any possible way to figure out everything?
Whoever
that's insane, dude.
co-opted with knew a secret area in the labyrinth, and we ended up fighting like a secret boss.
Yeah.
It wasn't the main boss; it was a secret boss, and then I got like a special weapon from like a chest after we beat the boss.
That's a cool
Pretty
feeling,
cool, man. Yeah, I'll always follow people if they're walking off somewhere like this. It's just
still,
really.
I'm still waiting for my Asian co-op partner to carry
where you can just sit there and eat your sandwich while they beat everything.
They're like, no.
Yeah, I fell into like a crevasse, and like you couldn't even see it, and I just fell in such a perfect way that I should have fallen off the map, but instead I fell into like a basement area, and then two bosses were down there, and I had to fight by myself because my buddy couldn't figure out a way to get down there. So that was crazy. There's a lot of like screaming in this game. Like, get over here! There's a lot of I can't beat him by myself. There's a lot of screaming going on. Yeah, because sometimes you'll get like sucked down like by a tentacle and taken to a different part of the map.
No, come to where I am on the map.
Yeah, no, follow me. Where are you? Follow the map. I'm fighting a boss right now. I can't give you directions. A lot of screaming at each other. It's a very high.
It's a good time.
High stress game. I love it. But yeah, a lot of stand up and cheer moments for beating bosses. And man, it's just this is what you guys feel whenever y'all play Souls games. And I'm finally getting to feel it kind of on my own terms. So
yeah, the amount that you're hooked on it, and like every corner you're exploring, every new weapon you're unlocking, like it sounds like if you just replace a few words, that was exactly Tim for all of spring last year playing Elden Ring. I was like, I can't get enough of this. I want to see every corner. I want to see every boss. And I didn't even listen to any of the noise outside of people like Elden Ring's overrated. Whatever people were saying, I was just like, dude, this is my favorite thing.
Yeah, the sales numbers would say it's not overrated.
You're right. So that's so cool. Like everything you're saying, I'm just like, man, what a fun time to be really hooked into a loop of a game like that. That's awesome.
It came out at a good time too. It came out like it squeaked in between like a bunch of like big things, and I hope it's selling well. I haven't really been following that. So.
I think there was a thing saying that it sold already more than the first one. Like
that's awesome.
Like the first couple weeks or something.
I couldn't believe how good the reviews were. So like everything about this game has been surprising to me. But yeah, that game's great. I've also been playing Cyberpunk 2077 because the stuff is about to come out, the expansion. So I've been like doing all like the like cop missions or whatever, where you're just going around just blasting people. And I'm just trying to get money built up because I know the second you start that game, it's just going to be like The Witcher. Everything that you picked up is now dog shit. Excuse me for the language. So like I have to start like buying stuff, and I know I ended that game with like no money because I went on like on a carb like spending spree. So just been playing that game. I've been getting money. I'm just prepping for the expansion. I'm really excited. That's this month, right? Am I crazy?
I thought it was September.
Yeah, next month.
Is it next month? Okay, cool. Okay, great.
Hopefully it's on the same
I was
day
just
as
I was looking at the sales numbers or trying to for Remnant 2, and it's been for the 4 weeks that it's been out, it's charting on Steam, and right now
great.
It's still at number 2 or 3. It's in the top 3 the last couple of weeks, I think.
Good for it, man.
You want to hear a sob story? My Cyberpunk sob story. So I beat the game at launch ish on PC before they enabled cross saves, and then I switched out my PC for a better one. So I have to play the game over again to get to the expansion.
You'll be able to start at the expansion. You'll be able to start.
Can you just start?
I feel like I should though. I feel like
you can do whatever you want, but like
they
built
self-imposed rule there, brother.
Yeah. They built it in, so it says you can start at the expansion, and it'll give you like level 50 worth of experience or whatever.
I like
basically start there.
World of Warcraft did that with their expansion.
The expansion comes out September 25th.
Thank goodness.
So
by the way, I just saw the episode of Dudesy where Will does the wool to Chad, and Chad just stares at it, and then the camera
he stares right in it.
Just stares into it.
That becomes a reoccurring joke. Yeah, that's good.
It's really good. It's really good.
A couple other quick.
Thanks for clarifying my understanding of the expansion, because I was like, oh shit, I gotta start completely over.
You know what you did in that game. You can just start right at the beginning of mission of the expansion, and you'll be fine. Yeah, or just beat the game again. It's wonderful. So.
Yeah,
it's also like 45 hours.
I haven't beaten this, a second playthrough yet of the other two options. So.
Pick a corpo,
Yeah.
So wait, you didn't have a cloud save for that either?
No, because my PS4.
It was before.
My PS4 one was never. I never beat it because I had so many problems. So now that I'm able to go back, I'm like, I have to go back. Jack from Lost. Sorry,
we have to go back. I'm going with you, Jack.
I have to go back. It's like, the only saves I could find are like the ones I never beat.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
A couple of the other little games I was playing is I'm still playing LA Noire on and off. That game's so fun. It's very ugly though, but it's very fun.
By today's standards, yeah.
It's just real. I know, but it's so funny to think about. Like at the
back
time,
then we were like,
faces are never gonna look better. What? And like today, I'm like, oh god. Ugh.
A game that I jumped into on the PS4 that I feel like it would still look like good to modern standards was damn it, I just forgot the game.
Was it Rockstar?
The PlayStation exclusive, the one that's like a movie that I really want a sequel to that's never gonna happen. The Order. I jumped into it and I was gonna look at it just to see like, does it still hold up? I was shocked by how good it still looks.
The game is a good-looking game because it's
I was going to say, I played some of that last year, and I was like, this still looks good. I was hoping you were going to say that,
yeah.
So that's cool. LA Noire, like, is that one you've beaten that before, right? This isn't
I started it like late last year, and this is the furthest I've ever been into it on a playthrough, and like the other couple times
you haven't finished it before.
No, never. Cool. Yeah, it's one I didn't like when I first started playing when it first came out, and then like tried it again, and I was like, oh, I love this. I was an idiot, you know. So
I think anyone who played it going, oh, cool, the guys who made Grand Theft Auto, let me play this. You're probably not gonna like. Maybe that's not what you were thinking, but a lot of people went into it with that.
Not that was what I was thinking, but it does set people up for a different experience.
It's their version of Mafia in a way, but there are definitely some more choices to be made, I guess.
Yeah, because it's still open world, but you never feel like
it's kind of like Sherlock Holmesy kind of,
you're just like driving from one location to the next.
When you do drive, and I was like, I can drive anywhere, and then I quickly realized like driving anywhere is not fun in this game. So
I mean, you could like sometimes like a random like, oh, a bank robbery is going on. Do you want to take this mission, Cole? And you're like, I guess, and you can flip on your light and go over there real quick. But there's like no stakes or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
You get a side quest like checkbox like, oh, you did that one.
I remember beating
really
that
enjoyed
game like the year it came out, and there was an app on my phone that I had that was like, it was designed like a notepad, like detectives used to have back then.
Oh, that's cool.
And it would just tell me tell me how to play the game because I was so dumb I couldn't read their faces back then. Like I just couldn't.
No, that's how I was. I didn't.
Yeah, I basically.
Oh,
cheated.
I
Like,
misread their faces.
I don't know if you're lying, bro. I don't know.
No, there'd be times where I knew someone was lying, like their eyes would dart around, and it'd be like, "No, that was wrong," and I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what you want from me." All right.
Yeah, exactly. That's when I had to start just being like, "All right, game, just give me an app or something." And I found a walkthrough app or whatever on my phone. It was delightful.
The last quick thing I've been playing, about every Friday I get on for maybe an hour or two of Halo with some people from work. And I suck at that game because anyone who's playing that game now are the same weirdos who've been playing it since launch. So, congratulations, weirdos! You're good at that game. It's actually really good. I don't know. There's so much like going on in that game. Like I feel like the word of mouth killed this game, and not that it shouldn't have been or it doesn't deserve it, but like this is like a content-rich multiplayer game now. It just took it a few years to get there. All the Forge stuff is there. All this stuff is.
There's no co-op campaign, right? That never happened.
Only online, but not
couch
with
co-op.
a buddy, not couch co-op. Yeah. So all that stuff is there too. But like, yeah, the multiplayer feels good. The Forge stuff feels good. The player community is making a lot of really cool stuff. So that's cool. But like, if you're out, you're already out. I just play it because it's a social thing for me. But like, I really am not good at it. Boy, it's something. I played some of the worst matches I've ever played in my entire life last night, and that's really the story I wanted to tell. Is I just suck at that game.
I still think that game's a great game, like single player.
I
never really.
I think that the multiplayer is super solid. Like if I played it nightly, for a week, I'd probably be a little better at it, But like the flow of shooting in that game, it's still like to me, it's still first person shooter king, like in terms of like feel. I'd say the same thing about Destiny because it's Bungie and stuff like that. Like in terms when you're talking about moving and shooting, like those games just like are
they just get it right.
Yeah, just perfect. Yep.
Even though I don't play Destiny anymore, and Halo is just filled with sweaty players now. But I guess the only other thing that I was watching that I want to make of note because it's the only new thing I've been rewatching a lot of stuff, but I'm not gonna like drone on about a bunch of stuff that I've rewatched because I have watched something new recently, and I don't know if any of y'all have seen it either. It's a Donnie Yen movie called Kung Fu Killer. No, familiar with this at all?
Mm-mm.
It's actually ranked as like one of the greatest modern day martial arts movies of all time, and many different like martial arts lists. If you just Google, like, hey, rank martial arts movies that are modern or best fight scenes or whatever. Telling you, there's a fight scene at the end of this movie that is so excellent, and that's the quick elevator pitch for this movie is Donnie Yen gets into a duel with to guard his like kung fu mastership or whatever, ends up accidentally killing the guy, has to go to jail. While he's in jail, all his disciples, who are like the 7 masters of certain aspects of martial arts, all are getting killed off one by one using their own special moves. So like some guy is going around killing everybody, and obviously it all culminates in some epic fight between this kung fu killer and Donnie Yen. It's just awesome. If y'all like people getting punched in the face and kicked really hard, like this is definitely a movie to look out for. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime.
I do like kicky punchy, so that you're talking.
It's a very good kicky punchy. Yeah.
There's no 4K, right? It's just Blu-ray.
No 4K. I got this on Blu-ray. And it does have a sequel called Flashpoint, which is also pretty famous.
I looked it up and it's got David Carradine. Is that a different movie?
Yeah, I don't think it's got David Carradine in it.
You would know that.
Right? This one's all Chinese.
Yeah, this is all
actors.
Chinese.
Yeah. Is it Kung Fu Jungle?
Kung Fu Killer. I think that's what it's called over there, but it's I think it might be Kung Fu Killer here or something like that.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah.
You just look at Donnie and Kung Fu Killer. That's it right there.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's good, and like it's the kind of kung fu where like it's grounded for the most part, but there might be a little extra floating and an extra kick that could come in that's just like kind of breaking gravity.
There might be some wires involved somewhere,
but it's not wire fu. I don't want to like pitch it like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but yeah, like maybe they get one more extra kick off of more than they should, before they hit the ground. But it's supposed to be displaying that they're like masters of their arts or whatever, and it's fun, man. I just love these movies. I've always point me in the direction of a good cookie punchy movie.
Yeah.
And again, I'm pretty sure you can watch that on Amazon Prime if I'm not mistaken. So.
Also.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
This one does look cool. Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, David Carradine and Daryl Hannah. What's he talking about here? Like, this does not look good. But
they do really good kung fu. Tim,
but this, according to IMDb, it's only showing up here as Kung Fu Jungle. So that's the one that I'll But it's funny. The title says Kung Fu Killer on the poster. I'm very confused. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
it just
the Edge
depends
of
on
Tomorrow.
what region you're in, is what it's called.
Tomorrow, Live,
like,
Die, Repeat.
Live, Die, Repeat. Edge of Tomorrow is just like pick a title.
Pick a title.
It's called Tom Cruise Dies a Lot. So it's what's called.
Yeah.
Awesome. A good recommendation. I'm going to add that to my list to watch. I like a good Kung Fu punchy kicky movie too. Jeff, what about you? What have you been playing outside of Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, I already mentioned Divinity Original Sin 2, dabbled on that, and promptly uninstalled it. I already have a more interesting version of that game to play.
Did you get it on Steam?
No, I got it on. Where are they selling it? Not Steam. GOG? Where the hell did I get it? I don't remember.
I was just gonna suggest, if you're not gonna play it, get yourself a refund. But never mind.
I might wait on that, honestly. Who knows? Because who knows? Maybe if I beat Baldur's Gate 3, I'll want to play it again.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But anyway, I played the demo after you mentioned it, I think last week, Many Pieces of Mr. Coup, which is just an awful title in my opinion. But
yeah, agreed.
I do love the art style so freaking much. It's like a Ghibli movie with, I don't know, some old Disney animated movie graphics sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, it's a blend of various animated styles, and the puzzles are kind of cool. Like, I didn't know there would be like a puzzle aspect to it.
Yeah.
But it's very cool. Like, especially when you click on it and it's like a fully animated thing. It's not like, I don't know. It just doesn't. It feels more fluid than a regular animated.
It's very trippy.
Point and click.
It just kind of zooms into the next thing, and you're like, "What is that?"
Yeah, man. If I still took edibles, my God, that game would blow my mind. And then another demo I played was I don't even know how to say it. Trepang 2.
Oh, that shooter.
The shooter, but it's like chaotic shooter where you're dual wielding a lot.
Oh,
and
Fear, like that Fear game, the game that's like inspired by Fear.
Oh, okay. Is it?
It does have those vibes. It's just like so bloody,
destructible, and like it's
Well, and it's about a SWAT team that like runs into like supernatural weird stuff. Really, it's like almost the same story.
There you go.
Corporations involved, yada yada. I really want to play this.
I just played a little bit of the demo, and I was like not really connecting with how it felt as a shooter. That I was just kind of like, you know what, I got other games I can play, so I just uninstalled it. But there is a demo out there. I don't know how long it is, but it seems to start at the beginning of the game.
It just came out at a bad time. I tried it and was like, I thought I was gonna buy it because I think I found it on CD Keys cheap. But after I played the demo, I was like, not now, because you're not gonna play it. There's too many things out. I think at the time Final Fantasy XVI was out. I was like, I'm not gonna stop playing Final Fantasy 16 to play this game.
Oh, the controller support was also ass. So
that's what I'm waiting for is the controller support to get a little.
It was like it was like telling me controller face button 1, and I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
I had that issue too. Now that you said
that could have been the demo, but it's in like the actual.
No, I was reading Steam reviews and everyone's saying like this has like almost no controller support. So I was like, okay, well I'll wait then.
That's a bummer. That's a real bummer.
That's what I'm waiting for, yeah.
But as far as stuff I'm watching, behind me is Scott Pilgrim, just because I'm in the middle of rewatching that for the first time on 4K Ultra High Def Blu-ray, and it's probably one of the best looking 4K Blu-rays I've ever seen. And I just love the movie so much that I wanted to make it my background, because there was nothing else to me that was like, I have to do this as my background, guys. That's just to explain my thought process on that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful movie,
yeah, I love it so much. There's so many jokes packed in, like, just laugh per minute economy is just...
Might be Brandon Heath's best. No, not Brandon Heath. What's his name?
Ralph?
Brandon Ruth? Brandon Heath's a singer.
Yeah.
Brandon Ruth. Yeah, it might be his best role. Possibly.
Yeah, vegan superpower guy, yeah.
When him and Thomas Jane, Thomas Jane and what's his face from like Westworld
Clifton
and
Collins,
all those other movies, like that guy who plays like
I didn't even notice. I don't know why. I just didn't consciously notice it. But after they take his powers away for drinking whole milk or whatever it was, half and half. After they take his vegan powers away, and Scott is like looking at him or saying something to him, you see Thomas Jane and the cop high five each other and go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Background.
Well, it's got a lot of like visual gags too. So while you're listening to people making jokes, if you're like you're picking up on all these like visual gags in the background too.
Such an economically made movie, like visually and in the writing. It's crazy. Edgar Wright really crafted himself a masterpiece. Anyway,
a massive box office failure, that movie. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, the cult following is way stronger, that's for sure. I watched a movie on HBO called HBO Not Max, or not HBO Max, called Glitch: The Rise and Fall of HQ Trivia. I just wanted to watch it because I wanted to know what the hell happened to HQ Trivia. I was just genuinely curious. I didn't know the story. Not really much of a great movie, but it gives you facts if you wanted to know it. If you want to know anything about that, it's interesting. I highly recommend the show on Apple called Hijack with Idris Elba.
That looks good.
Dude, that sorry, it's like a miniseries, took me for a literal ride because it's on an airplane. But no, every episode ends in like this crazy cliffhanger where you're like, what the hell? I have to wait a week? Like, now you don't, but before, when it was airing weekly, I was like, every cliffhanger was
and then you just make yourself wait a week for no reason.
Yeah,
you're
true.
Just like,
True. I could have just waited and then done that anyway. I finished Twisted Metal season 1. I guess season 1. I don't know if they're gonna get renewed. Probably not. Peacock is hemorrhaging money for Universal. It ended way stronger for me as a non-fan of the games. Like, I didn't grow up with them. I don't know anything about them much except for what they are. I thought the last 3 episodes were just awesome. So it turns around, in my opinion.
Which is interesting because you were about to stop watching it right before those last 3 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, then I watched episode 7 and I was like, okay, more of the same. And then episode 8 happened and I was like, all right, damn, that was good. That was when
kids,
Rafi
this is why you don't give up.
Yeah, never give up.
Never give up.
I mean, unless it's like a Snyder thing, then give up on all of them. Zack Snyder's terrible.
There's our Zack Snyder shot for the day.
I'm also watching HBO, really old HBO show, The Larry Sanders Show. I've just never seen it before, and depending on who I guess depends on who you ask, but by and large, the comedy community absolutely adores this show. Like, Conan O'Brien talks about it all the time with like Bob Odenkirk and stuff like that. Like, and people like that. Like, they're always talking about how this show is just so freaking brilliant and funny. And it's like Gary Shandling plays a late night talk show host, and it's pretty much doing that whole kind of Entourage thing before Entourage was a thing, like where they're filming a fake late night TV show, but they're having real celebrities come in and do bits and stuff like that. Like, in the first season that aired the early 90s, so Dana Carvey was in it, Mimi Rogers was in it. Like, they're playing versions of themselves. Yeah, it's pretty funny starting out. I assume it gets funnier. It's where that whole "Hey Now" comes from with I think Howard Stern does it, but he got it from Barry Sanders because Jeffrey Tambor's character says it all the time in the show. "Hey Now." Anyway, good show. And I watched the movie in a movie theater. First time back since Barbenheimer. It was this horror movie called Talk to Me.
That looks creepy, man.
Dude, I watched the trailer going, that's it? Like, because the trailer shows you, and I'll just explain what it's about, is like there's like this hand that's like, it looks like ceramic, but it's like stiff, like a statue hand, where if you grab it, like hold it, like you would hold a person's hand, and say, talk to me, a spirit will appear in front of you. And then if you say, I let you in, the spirit will take you over, like it will possess you. But the rules of the movie are you can only go for 90 seconds before the spirit pretty much, stays in you, or you start seeing stuff after the fact. So they set that rule at the very beginning, so that means somebody's going to break that rule very early on, and you're going to see consequences of that through the rest of the movie. But yeah, like, so when I saw the trailer, I was like, that's it? That's okay, all right. And then I saw the movie. I don't know, the movie just has this, like, incredible cinematic style, like the camera work specifically, where it opens with this one take thing where this guy is seemingly possessed or something. Like, you kind of have to piece together what happens as the movie goes on, but it's just a really unsettling scene, very chaotic. There's a whole commentary about how kids are filming bad things happening to people instead of actually doing anything about it.
Right.
So that explains away kind of a lot of the kids doing really dumb, because kids are like 17, 14 in this movie. That explains away kind of a lot of the dumb stuff they're doing in this, where they get themselves in these precarious situations with spirits and undead people, where it's like they're dumb kids and they just want to film it. That's what it is. That's the problem here. It's not really, the problem isn't so much that, the script is bad. It's because they're dumb kids in the current era. Anyway, I loved it so much. It's probably my favorite horror movie of the year. Nice. Above Evil Dead Rise, even. Like, I just loved it that much, even though I love Evil Dead Rise. Yeah, that's all I got. Nice. I recommend it definitely for horror fans, but I mean, I've already gotten into a Twitter argument about it on X Twitter. where like somebody was talking about like they just don't like cursed object movies or whatever, and I'm like, it's a very specific subgenre of horror you don't like. First off, and that's
cursed object movies just don't do it for me. I don't care.
Like, so like Evil Dead, like Evil Dead doesn't do it for you, like at all, like on any level, like really? Okay, all right. And then like somebody was like talking about how the hype hurt the movie, and I'm like, no, that's you hurting the movie based on how you reacted to somebody's positive outlook.
People who fall for marketing or other people's excitement, I have zero sympathy for you.
Yeah, exactly. I can't stand this whole. It was just.
Well, I just got so excited. Well, why did you do that?
Yeah,
that sounds like a you thing.
Yeah, so like reviews.
Also, you must not have listened to what was exciting about it, because if you listen to someone talk about something they love, they'll tell you why they love it, and if you go into it expecting something different than what they said, then that's totally on you. It's like, if someone talks about a video game being amazing because the combat, and you go into it wanting an adventure narrative game, like, well, this didn't have a they didn't talk about the narrative. They talked about the combat.
The most offensive
brag package to bring in,
It's very strange.
Most offensive I got in a movie world with people calling something overhyped was with Everything Everywhere All at Once, and like I was just getting pushback on this one podcast I was on. They like it was 3 versus 1, and I was the one, and they were all like, "It's overhyped. I just don't get it. It's overhyped." And I'm like, you guys have got to stop taking people's reviews and thoughts and criticisms or lack thereof to heart before you go into a movie. You're basically letting them make up your mind for you before you even get to experience anything. Like it's just not fair. Like and that took me a long time to kind of get over that, because I mean, obviously I have movies that I feel like maybe earn too much money or too much praise or whatever, but like I basically took the reviews at face value and I said, cool, people seem to like this movie, and it's an A24 movie. I'm probably gonna like it. I don't know. And I go in and make my own mind up. Like, it's just, people got to do this with games too, man. I mean, it's the same.
Well, I think I'll just use movies as an example. Like, I think you can apply this to video games or any other form of entertainment.
Pretty much.
You have to find people that you generally know what they like and don't like, and if you're more in line with them, then I think it's safe to watch them ahead of time and then kind of build an opinion. Like, when I go watch, like, a movie or something like that, I'm usually aligned with Jeremy Jahns, but there's a lot of times where I'm not. There's movies where he's been like, alcohol required, and I'm like, nope, no alcohol was needed, buddy. That was a good movie.
Yeah.
But in general, he doesn't usually lead me astray. Like, I don't watch one of his reviews and go, dude, he was way off. He said this movie is so good, and it was trash. I think the problem is a lot of people use the whole Metacritic system, and they're like, this game or this movie is getting high scores. I didn't agree with that high score of a bunch of opinions, therefore it's overrated. Yeah. And I don't think anything can be overrated unless it's like, for some reason, factually overrated. Like, people had a misconception of what it was, and they went on that misconception. It was wrong. And that's but I where are you gonna see that? The only game that I've ever thought that way, and it's always just a joke, I don't actually mean this, is I'm like, Journey is the only game that was overrated because it was factually overrated, but that's not even true. The whole thing that entertainment's overrated because a bunch of people like it, they like it, dude. Get over it.
It's okay.
It doesn't.
That outcome.
These are the same people that call these movies that review really well overhyped. Are the same people that go into movies like The Meg 2 and come out going, that was one of the best movies I've ever seen of the year. Critics are wrong for hating it. You know, like,
oh my word.
It's just so rich that it comes from, generally speaking, the same audience. Like,
other people,
and we do really naturally.
Right, I hope not.
I think we do naturally move things up and down in our minds. Like, for instance, speaking, you're done, right? Like, sharing on your stuff, because I'll go into mine. Like, so I watched all of Twisted Metal, right? I watched the whole season, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of torn because I really don't think this is that great, right? But I've been hearing from a lot of people, this is good, it's good, it's good, it's good. But I'm like, I think they're saying it's good because they had lower standards. Like, they knew this was going to be trash, and so they went into it going, this is going to be trash.
Historically speaking, looking at video game adaptations, I mean, it's
do y'all not remember the Twisted Metal live action, like, cutscenes that, like...
Oh, yeah.
Where was anybody's expectations for this to be like Shakespearean or well written?
I don't either.
So I guess like whenever you say like, well, maybe people came up with low expectations, you mean just Twisted Metal expectations? Like, so that's my disconnect.
And I've already
people are
said
like,
this.
well, I came in trying to really like it. I'm like, I mean, it's like a very unlikable, weird thing, you know? Like
it's
that's
hard.
That's what it is.
I'm really shocked. I'm really shocked that this was picked to be like a show or a movie or something like that, because I said this before. It's such a hard like game to do. Like they have great characters, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about that. But it's really hard to do a show on a game that's built off of like getting shot in a car by missiles 150 times before your car blows up. You cannot do that in a show and a movie. How do you explain that that person got hit by 10 missiles and is still driving around? You can't. So now the show can't do the game. Like the whole show is completely, it has a lot of Twisted Metal stuff in it. And I know I sound like I'm a hater right now. But I'm not a hater. I actually like the show. But it can't do it can't do the game. Like it can't do the gameplay because it can't exist in the realm of shows unless they in some way can explain it and be like, hey, by the way, these cars we built, they can be shot like 15 times by missiles.
I mean, Anthony Mackie does have that whole conversation about how the 5 actual stats from the actual game work for like a whole 5 minute. Like, so they actually do kind of explain that already.
He's like, hey, the more you put on the car, the more it weighs down. It's harder for me to drive.
He says all 5 of like the main traits of Twisted Metal like in his speech. And I'm just saying, and that's the whole show is like. Yeah. It's written just to make some sort of like, you know, like that game you played, you know, and like that's the depths of what that show is just like
we're gonna throw
characters
ways
into making a Twisted Metal type of details or whatever.
And there was some quick scenes towards the end that like it's literally the last episode. I was like, oh, dude, this is Twisted Metal, right? So that's super cool. So the natural complaint that I heard from people is like, well, they didn't do that enough in the show. Well, because if you actually get to the end of the show, the end, you realize that Twisted Metal is just beginning. Like that whole show is like basically a prequel. Twisted Metal doesn't exist. So I thought
Mortal
they did
Kombat effect, like the last Mortal Kombat movie that just rebooted.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about the lead up to the tournament, and the second movie's about the tournament.
Correct.
That's what this is
doing.
So
this is what this is. So it's a very difficult game to make a show off of, or a movie, whatever you want to do, if you're looking for gameplay in that show. But I think they have set it up going into season 2 that they are now going to be able to explain how they can do it and actually show how they can take the game and put it into a show. So I'm actually more excited for season 2 because I'm like, cool, they had a great ending and a great setup for the next season. Overall, I
if it
liked
happens,
it.
Right?
If it happens,
I don't know. I would like to think it's been successful, at least from like the amount of people I've seen talk about it and how much they've praised it.
Yeah, I don't know where. Is it the Nelson? Is that the streaming like thing? I wonder where it's scoring on there of how much it's being watched.
Oh, I haven't checked that.
Who knows? Because it's up to the people, the streaming service, to disclose that. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. But overall, I liked it. If I had to score it, like give it a number score, the number that came in my brain was like, it's a 7. It's a swimming in 7s experience, and that is, I had low standards. At first, I was like, it's not even hitting these low standards, right? It's kind of silly, and the humor wasn't landing. And then I was like, well, they're pulling a lot of stuff from the game, but it's nothing I care about. Like, I want some cool combat. I want some of my characters that I loved in the game to show up and actually be in the show. And they weren't really doing that. But as the show went on, and I agree with Jeff, it got good. And then the ending is where I was like, cool. Like, that's a cool way to end this and set it up.
A bigger budget for sure.
Yes. And that's where, like, you guys might be right. We may not get it, which sucks. But overall, I liked it. That was the big thing I watched. I did continue my journey with the Expanse season 2. I'm at the end of that. On like episode 10 or something, 10 or 11. But but my Amazon Prime ran out, so I'll have to renew that. So let me get through Peacock crap, and then I'll renew that.
Crap.
And I did watch a movie. This was completely unplanned. I was actually watching Twisted Metal, got bored after the second or third episode, and was like, I want to watch something else. Ended up watching a movie called United. I won't talk a lot about it because you guys aren't going to be interested in it, but it was about Manchester United Football Club back in 1958, where they had
Jeff
the youngest.
I did not mean to. I was trying to hide it so hard. Oh my god.
They had the youngest team. Like they were extremely young. They weren't supposed to be as good as they were, and they ended up being really good. And then they flew to join a tournament and had to get back to England in time to continue the Premier League season. Otherwise, they were going to get docked points. And they rushed a flight, and the flight was having issues. They got kicked off the plane multiple times, and the coach made the decision, let's just jump back on the plane, and they rushed it, and the plane crashed, and 8 of their players died, and a total of 23 people died. So it was a story about that, and it was pretty cool to watch. I was just like, oh, I didn't even honestly know this even happened. But I thought it was pretty good. It was only an hour and a half.
Nice.
Yeah, he did great. He did great. There's several actors that I recognize. I don't know where I've seen them before, but I recognize them, and they did a great job. Overall, good movie. Cool. It's for people that like football. If you're not interested in football, I don't think it's good enough to be like, even if you don't care about soccer or Manchester United, this had enough drama in it. Now, if you care about history, since this is real life, then yeah, maybe. But other than that, no. But that's it. That's all I watched. The only thing I've been playing is Baldur's Gate 3, because I already talked about last week that I beat Scarlet Nexus, and I didn't game after that. I've been too busy.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff. Of course, for me, my hope is to finish Final Fantasy 16. I'm hoping to go back. I started replaying some Zelda this week, but I want to try some Fire Emblem Engage, see if I can't get hooked on that. And I just need to get more games checked off the list from 2023, because there will truly come a time where I'm like, this is going to be impossible. I can't give a legitimate take on most of our Game of the Year shows if I don't get through more of these, or at least through bigger chunks, of more of them. So I got to start playing some stuff that I've missed.
Now's the time, because like
some chunkier
I know
slices.
You're probably not going to buy as many games as me, but like August I have 5 releases, September I have 5 releases, October I have like 7. Like it's
I don't have
endless.
too many in August, so
November it's like
time.
5 or 6.
All smaller games for me.
Yeah, this is my time to do this, so I gotta get going. And I already own these. Like I used vouchers on Fire Emblem Engage. I own it. I've got it installed. I just need to play it. And there's a few others like that too. All right, so a few headlines from this week that I thought were interesting. In case you're curious about Game Pass for this month, Celeste and A Short Hike have both been added. Celeste I highly recommend if you like kind of precision platformers. It's one of the best in that kind of genre. I love that game. And an interesting little story too. Broforce Forever comes out this week alongside with Limbo on August 8th and 9th. And then Airborne Kingdom, which is kind of a city builder with airships, which looks kind of interesting. And Everspace 2, which is already on Game Pass on PC. Now it's coming to Xbox Game Pass on August 15th. Leaving Game Pass on August 15th are 4 games. Death Stranding, which is probably the most significant one. Edge of Eternity, which I don't recommend. I played a little bit of it. There's so many better JRPGs out there. I just think it was that good. Midnight Fight Express. So play that one if you haven't played it yet. You've got 10 more days. That game is super fun.
Yeah, game's great.
Or just buy it, because I think one guy made that game. Just go buy that game.
Yeah. Go support that guy.
Yeah, and then Total War Warhammer 3. So some pretty significant, games on their roster.
Because the games of Game Pass are dead, Tim. It's dead.
It's dead.
The whole service is dead. They're losing 4 games here. It's dead.
Yep. They increased their prices. They're losing all their good games. Confirmed.
Nothing's coming out at all this year.
That's
period.
It. Yep. Also, Microsoft news. I saw this today that Iron Galaxy is going to be returning to Killer Instinct with a major update.
Hell yeah.
Killer Instinct, of course, came out in 2013, the rebooted version of it by Double Helix. And they supported that game with updates, new characters for 3 years, which is pretty impressive. But we haven't really seen anything on that game since 2016. But they're saying that the major update, which is on the way, is going to include balance tweaks, improved matchmaking, and 4K support for Series S and X. So,
yeah, and I think we're going to get more.
In a cool story mode. That'd be rad.
I think they're going to do more stuff because this game is still being played at every major tournament, and that's one of the reasons why they did this update. And they brought back some of the guys from the original development team that released this game.
For Iron Galaxy? That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I watched the video on it. I'm hoping the 4K stuff's not that big of a deal for me personally because I already have it on PC, but I really hope they'll add more like content because I would like to, like Kyle said, I would love like a full-fledged story mode or something like that. I don't know if they'll appeal to me because I think most of what's keeping it alive is just the tournaments and the online players.
Man, I just remember playing it way back in the day, and then the announcer would say like Glacius, Jago, or whatever, like all the different names, you know.
The awesome. 2013 KI is easily one of the best. Like I'm talking purely fighting mechanics, easily one of the best fighters to exist. It's that good. It's that technically good, and the sound design and the flow of like when you're landing combos and punches, the way the music goes with it, it's like a rhythm fighter. It's really, really, really well done.
Nice.
Yeah, so I didn't see a date for when that's happening, but they announced it at this Evo event in Las Vegas.
I don't think there is a date. I think it's just
they're letting everyone know, hey, we're working on this.
Yeah.
It's not dead. Big rumor around, actually a lot of different rumors around Nintendo's next-gen console. This is according to multiple sources because apparently some dev kits are starting to get out in the wild with certain partner studios. This could be completely made up, but it's starting to feel a little bit more legitimate just with the number of different sources that are out there. And the idea is that they're looking at the second half of 2024 at the moment. That's their kind of target window right now. These are additional rumors, so take them with a grain of salt. That Nintendo is right now heavily leaning towards using an LCD screen to keep costs down, as opposed to the OLED that's currently on their newest model of Switch, and also looking at a cartridge slot, just like before. No, not even any rumors yet on whether or not it's going to continue that hybrid handheld console thing, but I don't see why they wouldn't. My guess is that there's going to be a lot of quality of life improvements, a lot of some power and battery life stuff, but I think it's going to be a Switch 2. Like I just think it's going to be another Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. It has to be. Why wouldn't you?
I think it has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever they're going to call it, right? Super Switch, or I don't know what the Switcheroo. I don't know what they're going to call it, but
I don't think you abandon the hybrid thing. Like, right. I think all the things we were hoping Switch Pro was going to be, it's going to be 4K, and that's just what this is going to be. Like it's all been this all along. You know,
it'll be like what you would expect for a mid console life cycle upgrade console. You know what I mean? Like the PS4 Pro or whatever. I think you're right. I think it's going to be like incremental upgrades, but for the most part, play all your Switch games on this.
I'm just curious.
Wouldn't it be wild if it came with like snap-on like ankle bracelets, so it can like start tracking like and like it just becomes this full-on like body using, like they just really lean into the stuff that no one gives a shit about.
It has a legit CPAP machine that sends with it, so you can like
my curiosity would be, because Nintendo hardly plays it safe. So I'm thinking logically and going, yeah, dude, you just make a Switch 2, right? That makes sense. Right. Nintendo rarely does that. They always have like, we'll do something different. And the reason I think they do that, not only just because they like to do that stuff and push themselves, but I also think it's because Switch 2 would mean that they would have to be way more powerful, and that's not their shtick. And so my concern is, if they do something like that's outside of anything that we're coming up with right now, are they going to be like another 1080p, at best 1440p console when I think within either 2024 or 2025 at the latest, we're going to get that mid upgrade at least PS5. I heard Xbox wasn't going to do that, but that's bullshit. There's no way PS5 would do it and Xbox wouldn't. But if we get that mid upgrade, those consoles are going to be
like
at
2
least
gens ahead of them.
4K, 60 frames per second on, I would imagine, almost every game. And then maybe even the potential of higher resolutions on like maybe your Oris can do an 8K or something like that. Like, what is Nintendo going to be sitting at? 1080p, 1440p? Like, that's...
So, like, I hear what you're saying, but then you look at their software sales. Like, Mario Kart 8, I think, just hit 58 million units sold. So, like, I hear what you're saying. I totally do, and I agree with you. Like, I would love a 4K, 60 frames per second Zelda Mario type experiences. I would think that would be amazing. But on the other hand, if you're just looking at the books, if you're a company and you're balancing out creativity and trying to make it cost effective for users, it's like, well, where should we pull back? All right, we're gonna have to pull back on the tech
power.
specs
That's what
again.
they always do.
That's what they always
do.
And I think at this point, it's not even something I would, for me personally, I don't even want to bring it up as like a negative anymore. That's just like, that's what Nintendo makes. They make like hardware that is more low to mid range.
They're not in the same race.
Yeah.
No.
But they still make, first party at least, make some of the best fun video game experiences still, in my opinion. They make some of the best. And they also have a bunch of third party partners that make some pretty good stuff too. It's not my most played console most years. Sometimes it is, but most years it's not. But I still like, I mean, it's just kind of fits in that niche for me. So
cool. I'm not saying they can do this. I don't do this type of stuff. But what I think would be really cool is if maybe your handheld is a 1080p, right? That fits into what Asus is doing now, and that would kind of fit Nintendo, where it would be cheaper in a year or so that they could probably do a 1080p handheld. And then when you dock it, the dock is actually more than just a holder of the Switch where all the power's in the Switch. You're docking it into the Switch thing that actually has its own power source, where it can output at 4K or something like that, where it's like a mini console / PC. That would be cool if they could create technology like that, where it's like handheld, we're 1080p, but we jump it up when you drop it in our super powerful dock, and they sell them separate, meaning like you can buy a Switch 2 with just a regular dock, so it only does 1080p, or you can buy the more advanced model that's $200 more, and you can get more power or something. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't think it's realistic, but I think that would be pretty cool if they ever thought.
Splitting
in that direction.
The SKU can be dangerous sometimes. I mean, but it works for PlayStation. Like people, at diskless, disk drive,
Nintendo for so many years always had a console and a handheld device, like for decades. Since the Game Boy, right? They've always had their primary handheld, primary console.
Two separate markets for them,
and they only combined them with the Switch. Like there's always been separate. I mean, 3DS was. I mean, the DS, all their handhelds have crushed it. Game Boy Advance is probably their worst selling one, but still was amazing in terms of sales numbers.
That's the one I have the best memories of, so it's funny. But you're right. I think it is.
I think it might have sold the least, but it still sold really well. Is all I'm saying. It wasn't a failure.
I follow.
So I do. There's part of me that wonders, like, will they consider a move back to kind of what Derek's describing? Like, let's say they went, here's our console, here's our handheld, but they took some creative Nintendo-style steps to sync the two up, where you can take that game save on the go with this version that's been developed for the Nintendo Go or the Nintendo Home or whatever these things are. Like, you've got your high-powered one here. Maybe it's still underpowered comparatively, but it can do 4K or whatever, and then your portable one. But that's a huge, like Kyle's saying, that's a huge risk, because it worked before for decades, but now you've brought all your customers on board with one device to rule them all.
Started a fad with this whole high-powered games on the go type of thing. So it's like, were you going to abandon the fad that you started, the thing that everyone's trying to be the champion of right now?
That'd be a tough sell.
You guys are just going to be like, we're not in this race anymore. It's just weird to me if they chose to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they will. But yeah, it's interesting. It's one of those things where it's like, you can't unring that bell. Like they did it. They combined it, and that was I think, pretty brilliant move. But then it was like, oh, that's a pretty permanent move. I think it's going to be
it's hard to go back from that,
to get out of there. Yeah. There's some Rayman DLC coming to Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope on August 30th. It's called Rayman Rayman in the Phantom Show. And so it's going to star, of course, Ubisoft character Rayman. It's going to have a separate storyline, just like their other DLC content has had. And the idea is that you go to this space opera network in a TV studio that's full of props and Easter eggs. So there you go. So if you like the Mario plus Rabbids games, more DLC on the way. Pokemon Presents is going to have a 35-minute showcase coming up this week. So if there's anything significant there, we will be sure to talk about it. But that is on the 8th, which is Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So check that out. I'm sure they're going to talk about the Sword and Shield. Scarlet and Violet DLC. Then what else? What else? I'm not sure what else.
Detective Pikachu. 30 minutes of Detective Pikachu.
They'll definitely talk about it. Hopefully not for 30 minutes. Yikes. That for 30 minutes. The DLC for 5, and that's it.
Yeah.
Could be some Pokemon Go stuff. I know I've seen them. There's still a lot of work happening with Pokemon Go. Who knows what they'll talk about. I saw this rumor. Don't know if there's any truth to it, but Helldivers 2 potentially could be targeting an October release. This is according to Insider Gaming, because there was a file sent to members of the Sony partnership program with content creators, and it was basically encouraging them, hey, make sure you mention this as an October release when you're streaming it or when you're talking about it. So
let me tell you, there's nothing coming out in October, so that'd be perfect.
You're right about that. Yeah, I think you're right.
Time to come out.
Wide
Absolutely open. 0 things coming out in October.
Wide open. I would not have pegged Helldivers 2. I know that said 2023 when they revealed it.
I thought that was a joke.
I
wrote in my diary. The developer told a very good joke that day.
Yeah, I was fully assuming that's a spring 2024 game. But
I'll be honest, though, I am jacked for this game.
Oh, man.
It's going to be so fun. Yeah. That trailer was still very funny. It's so
it is. Yeah, it's got a good humor to it.
We should be hearing some sort of official news about the new Call of Duty. What we assume is Modern Warfare 3 this week. Even Activision's been tweeting out comedically about this the box art, the quote unquote leaked box art, because that's been a meme for a minute now, is leaked box art that people are creating in Paint, Microsoft Paint, and it looks really ugly and stupid. So they jumped in on that. And but anyway, we should be seeing details about that this week. All signs point to it being Modern Warfare 3. More DLC in August, by the way. So last week we did a August preview, and none of this stuff had been announced yet. I remember saying there's not a lot of DLC this month. Yeah, there is. So there's the Mario plus Rabbids DLC. There's the Medical School DLC for 2 Point Campus, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a whole bunch of new challenges and studies you can send your students through. And then Saints Row has DLC coming out on August 8th called A Song of Ice and Dust. And they just
this is all the LARPing stuff. Yeah.
It's all the LARPing.
That's funny.
Yeah, okay. right. And I heard they've completely redone the controls for this game, like completely, and like everything has been changed. So it got a No Man's Sky style, not reception wise, but like they're a big facelift in terms of where it was at launch and where it is now.
Yeah, they just sent out a free update with a bunch of stuff like you're talking about, a bunch of updates to the features and gameplay and improvements to it, but also added this new area, this new
whole new
area,
map,
whole new district, for for this upcoming DLC as well.
As always, if you waited a year to play this game, you're playing a much different and better game than the rest of us who slummed it through the original. So.
Yeah, it's probably not so much a 6 out of 10, maybe more of a 7 or 8 out of 10 if you give it some time. Give it some time. There's a rumor right now for a new Lego Harry Potter game potentially in the works. There was apparently an image that appeared on Warner Brothers South Africa Instagram page before it was deleted. I'll tell you what, man, these international branches of these companies keep giving stuff away. It's so funny to me. But it showed the Lego minifigure of Harry Potter with the date 8/25/23. I don't think as the release, but as like the reveal potentially.
Yeah.
Sounds like Gamescom,
which is during Gamescom. That's exactly what I was thinking. So if it's legitimate,
they're gonna have. I think it's Xbox that said they're gonna have like an insanely heavy presence, probably the biggest presence they've ever had at Gamescom this year.
Like the biggest booth
because of Starfield primarily and some other displays they plan on setting up, I guess.
Probably Forza.
Yeah. Anyway, but Forza.
Yeah.
I'm like racking my brain. What the hell else could they release for Lego Harry Potter? Because the covered all the movies, didn't they?
Well, apparently it's supposed to be like
they did that with Star Wars too.
Oh,
they
they're
covered
saying
all the
it's
movies,
a Skywalker saga style.
Oh, okay.
But made a whole nother. They just redid all of it over again, just like they did with Star Wars.
Gameplay's revamped, and it's all in one place. More of a museum-y aspect to some of the menu stuff, like all that.
Okay, well then I'm game then. If it's gonna be like the Skywalker saga, which was excellent,
so
I'm all about it.
Y'all are gonna have to wait 6 years, like I had to for Star Wars.
Yeah, no, just
non-negotiable.
They're gonna announce the release.
Whenever they announce,
you
get it 6 years later, and that's how long you have to
delay it 16 times.
Even if it like shadow drops this October, Kyle doesn't let me and Jeff buy it. He's
no. Everyone has to wait.
You're gonna wait.
you're gonna wait like the rest of us had to for the last one.
But that's not all for DLC, guys. Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which already has had some DLC come out.
Wolong. Sorry.
Pretty good. They outlined their plans for DLC and updates for the rest of this year. So there's essentially a free update planned every month. Even in August, there's a free update, like new weapon, improvements to the game, that kind of thing. But then there's 2 major pieces of paid DLC. One arrives in September called The Conqueror of Jiandong, and that has a whole bunch of content.
You can't say that. You can't say that on here, can you?
And then it's going to get worse. The one in December is called
read it.
Upheaval in
Jiangxing.
Jiangxing. I can't say it.
Jiangxing.
So there's lots of DLC content coming to that game. So that's your thing. There's more bosses, more areas, more weapons, more spells, all that kind of stuff.
More woes.
Still put 20 minutes into the full release after playing the demo for like 8 hours.
So
that's more than you played Pikmin 4. Yeah. It's more than more than you played.
Still have not booted up Pikmin 4.
Yeah. I can't give you a hard time for that because I've owned Fire Emblem Engage for 4 months now and have not started it yet.
I've played more Fire Emblem Engage than Tim has. That's so wild to me.
Isn't that weird? And I'm such a big fan of that series.
We're so backwards.
I think it's one of those things where I know that's going to be the game I play when I start playing it, and I've just been delaying.
You have to be in the mood for it. Yeah. You have to be in the mood for it. By the way, I don't know if you said anything about it, but Lost Eidolons or whatever is coming to console.
Coming to consoles, yeah.
I think
I still have that on Steam Deck, and I haven't really given that a good play yet. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you didn't own it, and I was like, well, maybe that would be a game you'd be interested on PS5. But I thought it was.
There's no reason I haven't played it yet, other than time.
Other than just haven't. Yeah, there are times when I look at something like, why haven't I played this? I think it's just because I haven't played this. Like I don't have a. There's no reason for it. I just haven't.
Why did you buy it then? Well, it was $10 off. Why investigation? What's
we
going
like
on
to own things. There's nothing wrong with
it's true.
That excitement of buying something new that we like to own. And if we get to it, we get to it. We don't.
Sometimes I just like going through my Steam library, going, I got a pretty good collection of games. Dude, it's just
me
like
too.
A weird ego thing. I don't know.
It's almost like storing up food for the winter. It's so strange. It's like I've got these games that are ready for me.
I actually get sad.
Like if I got broke today and I could never buy a game for 5 years, I'd be fine. I have so many games, like I'd be totally fine. So,
I'd probably be a millionaire if I didn't spend so much.
I'd be annoyed at first, but then once I started going through the backlog, I'd be like, "This is actually good" because I have so many things I haven't finished.
Yeah, this losing my sense of life is the best thing that ever happened to me. I can play all these games
Agreed.
that I bought and never played.
Agreed. Last but not least, Assassin's Creed Mirage. Their lead director, I think, or one of their main folks over at Ubisoft.
Some French guy, I imagine.
Some French fella. He confirmed they're making sure people know this is not nearly as long as the recent Valhalla, Odyssey, Origins games.
Oh, good.
They're saying if you really rush it, mainline it only about 20 hours to complete. So not short.
Yes.
And if you kind of do a more complete run, he says 25, 30 hours.
So that really means it's actually 15 hours if you mainline it. I
think you're right. I'm with you there. I think it's probably a little less than that.
Yeah.
But that means it's more in that kind of like lengthy Uncharted game territory. You know what I mean?
Like I totally am on board with that.
Unless
I
like
become like
Assassin's Creed
obsessed
2.
with it.
I don't know what I need to hear to get this game, but like I know that there's something that needs to be said. If it gets said, I'm gonna end up buying it just because I like most of the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
And I really do like one a lot, but it's just one of those. I don't know what I'm waiting to hear for. Like, hey,
you're waiting to hear that everything else from October gets delayed, then maybe you'll buy it.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, that's probably
I guess
true.
it is a little bit of that where I'm like, I'm gonna buy an Assassin's Creed game and like,
maybe
ignore it for that month for all the other games that I'm playing.
Maybe it's just a me thing, but maybe this is what you're talking about too, Kyle. Like, you already know what Assassin's Creed is. I understand that they're going back to their roots, but we already know there's no for me personally, there's no excitement for this game. I'm gonna buy it because
it's like
all
it's like
games,
a greatest hits feeling game.
And I like Assassin's Creed, but there's no like that. There's no that it's a new game, new experience, so I'm excited about it. I already know what it is, so I haven't watched any videos on it. I'll start a video and be like, I already know what this is. I don't care, and I'll move on to something else. But like games like what's coming out next week that I'm really excited about, Fallen Atlas or whatever, Atlas Fallen. That's a new IP, so I'm like watching all these videos and hyping myself for it because I'm like, this is exciting. I want to know what they're doing. But like something like Assassin's Creed, we talk about it almost every year, and I'm like, I already know I like it. We don't need to talk about it. There is no excitement for it, but I will buy it, and I'll get excited if it's good. But other than that,
I feel like reviews and word of mouth.
Basically, that's what it is.
Yeah. I think reviews and word of mouth could generate excitement where it doesn't exist.
I think so too. Yeah.
I don't know if this game will.
Again, if someone says like, "Hey, the story's really good here," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that gets a lot of people in the door.
The story's really good, or what a return to form to the Assassin's Creed
improved
formula.
What they used to do, but they made it better. It actually feels like you're a stealth assassin. That would be pretty cool.
Because then, if this is successful for them. If it's commercially and critically successful, I could see them doing a series of like, here's our smaller Assassin's Creed games, and then here's our because they're pulling teams
doing
off of
different types of Assassin's Creed, just like Call of Duty.
It's just one city too, so even if I hear stuff like, hey, this is the densest, most alive city that gaming has ever seen because they got to focus on such a small area. That gets me a foot in the door, and I'm sure a lot of people are the same way. Like again, I don't know what I'm waiting to hear, but I know it exists, and if it hits that thing that I don't even know that I want yet, all of a sudden I'm flipped on this game.
I totally get it. I think a lot of folks are probably in the same camp as you. I think what they're waiting to hear, honestly, is just some sort of assurance, and who knows where that needs to come from for everyone, that this is excellent, this is really good, it's worth your time. And so,
Tim, that was your opportunity to not be agreeable, and you could have really gone in on Kyle and how he's wrong, and then that would have been our hot.
I missed so many opportunities like that.
Yeah, please stop being agreeable.
Yeah, that's my bad. All right, guys, let's close things out.
He literally agreed with me, telling him to stop being agreeable.
You're right. I'm sorry.
I did. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, sir. We've done 2 Tryhard Trackers in the past. Earlier this year, we did one where we talked about the Game of the Year picks from 2022, and then we actually ranked the most Tryhard Game of the Year picks. And I think we actually said Wordle. Was that the most Tryhard one?
So.
Yeah. Oh, I don't even remember that.
Deserved.
But other games on there were like Immortality, Pentiment, Vampire Survivors, like other ones that we were like, listen, we're not saying these are bad games, but these are tryhard picks based on everything else that came out in 2020.
Oh yeah.
So that was the idea. So it's not like this is a bad pick. So that's what that first
Wordle
one
was like. Didn't that start in 2020? Why are they doing this again? I don't understand.
Someone picked Power Wash Simulator. I'll admit, I spent so much time cleaning stuff in the simulated world, and I don't know why. I can't explain to you why. But that is not a game of the year, even for the. Anyway, I don't get it. All right, let's. And then we did some gaming reviews. So I gave you some quotes from mediocre or bad scores of games that were usually reviewed 80 or above, and then you guys had to guess what the game they were talking about was.
Yeah, that was fun.
And what the outlet was. So this one's a little bit different. This one we're going to really focus in on one outlet. I'm not trying to pick on them. They actually, I think, have done a little better recently. As I'm looking through their content, I'm like, all right, some of these articles sound pretty interesting. But Kotaku has a history.
I knew it! I knew it before you even said it.
Kotaku has a history of having some of the most infamous hot takes, but they also were some of the worst clickbaity headlines. Like about 5 to 8 years ago, like they would, every article it seemed like was, hey, this article or this Mortal Kombat thing's gonna it's gonna rip your spine out. Like they would have articles like that all the time that were so cheesy, so kind of lazy, and also like anything clickbaity. Like you won't believe it was very BuzzFeed like. And I think someone on the marketing team at some point said, title our articles like BuzzFeed does. That's how we're going to get traffic. I think that's probably what happened. I don't know for sure. But now they have much more of a reputation of being incredibly negative. And even if a game or company or whoever does something that isn't trying to do what they think they should at all, they'll still write a whole article about, well, they didn't do a good enough job in this area or whatever it is. So they have all these hot takes. I got to be honest, though. I went to their site and I was looking through some of their commentary section. I would say like 90% of their content actually looks like, oh, that's either interesting or just kind of neutral, like whatever. It's just a thing about a thing. But every once in a while, like on pretty much every page as you go back to the archive, there's at least one that jumps out at you like, that got greenlit to be written and they titled that and posted it. So I'm going to read a number of these to you, and instead of us trying to rank them or anything like that, you're going to need to tell me like, hey, that this is just titles, by the way. I'm not going to give you any other info, just the article headline. You're going to tell me if this headline is tame, so like, that's not too bad, it's fine, or if it's Tryhard. Tame or Tryhard is the game. And that's how we're
probably going to be 10 out of 10. All of them Tryhard.
Tame or Tryhard. Now, admittedly, some of these are actually kind of funny and interesting sounding, but it doesn't mean it's not Tryhard still. So, and by the way, when we define Tryhard, it's a little bit of a loose definition. The idea is that you are kind of, it's kind of like really reaching, like if that's an overreach or you're grasping at straws for something there. That's usually the idea in my mind of being a Tryhard.
Burgers, yeah.
Because I know the phrase is also used for folks who like play games online and try really hard. I looked that up recently. I guess that's actually a phrase people use, like, oh, that guy
trying really hard
because he's trying really hard. Like, what? Anyway, so I'm just talking about when there's a reach. All right, here we go. Tame or Tryhard. Final Fantasy XVI has some of the most depressing visuals in series history.
Tryhard.
Pretty tame.
I don't know because I'm not a. I don't play enough Final Fantasy.
Look at what Final Fantasy VII original looks like, and look at this now.
That's true. That's way more depressing.
Super.
I would say 8's even more depressing, right? 8's got some pretty downer visuals compared to. I don't know.
I think I'm guessing they're talking about like the darker tone, so tone of the game and the way it looks, the aesthetic. So
that one's a little borderline. What about this one? Star Wars Outlaws Backlash proves we need more women protagonists.
Oh, that hit all the triggering spots for me.
Are we hurt?
That's 100% Tryhard, bro. I'm like literally vibrating right now. I'm shaking.
I don't even know if there's backlash. Did they just make that up too? Like
I don't know, man.
Not only do we need more female leads, but all the backlash on this game that everyone I've talked to is really hyped for. So I don't know. I
actually did click on this one and read a little bit of it, and the person talks about how angry a lot of gamers are because it's a woman of color, and I was like, I thought it was a white girl. I didn't know it was like.
She looked white to me too. So
but also whatever. Like the game looks like a blast. I don't know, man.
I didn't once when I watched like the preview and go, thank God it's a woman, or the opposite and go, God, another game with a woman.
I thought her furry friend looked cute. That was kind of my takeaway of that character.
Dude, me too. Yeah. I was like, hey, it's not a droid friend, it's a little animal. That's cool.
Yeah, you got a little animal friend. Yeah.
All right. What about this one? It's good that there's a 6 out of 10 Zelda review score. That's the article title.
That's the title? Oh my God, dude.
No, it's not good.
It's Tryhard in the sense that they're clearly trying to get a reaction out of the internet, and that's the only reason they wrote that. That's the only reason they wrote it. Yeah.
It's good.
They realized somebody was getting a lot of clicks by writing a 6 out of 10 review, and they're like, we want a part of that.
We got to capitalize.
So we're going to write a review about the review, or we're going to write an article about the review.
You're right.
Yeah, this is so
just for SEO, they put 6 out of 10 Zelda review score in their title just to make sure they got some hits on SEO. I think we all agree that one's pretty Tryhard. Just the title of it. Maybe they have some good points about how there's balance in the review industry. But no, okay, that's too kind. That's too agreeable again. I got to get out of that mode.
Stop.
All right,
never agree with them.
Never agree with anybody ever.
Persona 5 can't handle queer relationships.
I don't know.
Can't handle them.
Guys, these are recent article titles on their website.
Why are they talking about this?
They weren't getting enough interactions. That's what it is.
Like, do they not? Like, there is a lot of boy kissing in this, so I don't like. What do we?
It can't handle it though. Can't handle it.
There are multiple gay characters in this.
Like the engine can't handle it. Like it censors them when they kiss.
It needs Unreal 5 in order to really handle the queer.
Are they not like flamboyant? I don't know. Like I don't know what this means. You know. So
it
seems like a Tryhard thing to me.
That's pretty Tryhard.
Pretty Tryhard.
What about this one? The best Uncharted game doesn't star Nathan Drake.
Oh, so we're talking about Lost Legacy. Okay.
That's tame.
That's pretty tame.
That seems like an opinion to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Lost Legacy is a pretty great game. So I'm like,
like you're like I'm not gonna like what am I gonna get mad that you're championing a really good game?
Exactly. Right. At least it's not like the best Uncharted game. And if they continued that with like and it's Tomb Raider, the Shadow, whatever.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I still disagree. Like I like Lost Legacy, and I think again going back to our logic, this article's only being written so people would be like, there you go again.
It's to make you mad.
Women.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, they're writing
because
it to,
I still think the Nathan Drake Uncharted games are still better. Like,
me too. But I like them.
I really like Lost
better,
Legacy
I guess,
a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that Nathan Drake.
No, if they would have been like, it's not even a game on the console, and they were referring to the Vita game, yeah, that's Tryhard to me. But no, like saying that like your other really pretty game with the spin-off with 2 beloved characters is your favorite, like that's fine to me.
Right,
you know?
right. That's like someone saying the best Spider-Man game doesn't star Peter Parker. That's just because they love Miles Morales. It's like, all right.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, at least you said it was a great game.
Like,
I mean,
yeah.
But it's to me, this is clearly worded in a way to make sure that it's a little bit of a jab. That's why to me.
Even the Final Fantasy XVI being dark one is. It's like we're gonna piss off a whole bunch of people on a game that everyone really likes right now. Like they're all seem kind of charged.
These are the kind of titles why Kotaku has the current reputation of just being overall not happy with anything that's happening. Like they're just generally upset all the time. Vilifying Amber Heard shows we've learned nothing from Gamergate.
I don't know how either of those two things are connected, and I
knew Jeff would like that one.
I hate
women
everything about this.
Not
I
believing
hate everything
women.
about this article title.
I know. As soon as you started with vilifying Amber Heard, I was like, "What does it have to do with gaming?" I just don't understand.
No, and it has nothing to do with Gamergate. Like, and Gamergate, like, I'm not even gonna get started on that. Like, all of this is just a big bowl of no from me.
I know.
Yeah, that's what makes it Tryhard. That's what makes it Tryhard. Is like
pretty Tryhard. That's pretty Tryhard.
A lot of us.
We're gonna bring back a term from 15 years ago, and it's gonna be relevant.
Yeah. Brigitte shows Overwatch 2 still doesn't fully get body diversity.
I don't know who
Brigitte is. Brigitte.
Oh.
Okay.
She fat or something?
Is that a new character or something?
I think she's fat. Let me look her up.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Find out. We need the context. We need the context of who Brigitte.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised they're writing a article about Overwatch 2 because no one gives a crap about that game.
I know,
it's like,
dude,
who's clicking on this article?
She just looks like a person, so they wanted her to be fat, is what the article's trying to say, I guess. I don't.
Maybe.
Oh wow, okay.
Like she's buff.
Isn't Diva like one of the most beloved like LGBTQ like characters in video games?
Yeah,
like it's not enough that they nailed it with
diversity.
one character, like supposedly that now it's expected they have to like hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird to me.
I'm with
you.
Yeah, but it was basically like
one.
Yeah, definitely Tryhard. Basically, diversity checkbox not checked.
Not checked enough.
Yeah, not checked hard enough.
Okay.
Even
just
though Overwatch 2,
checking it like over and over.
Overwatch 2 checks those boxes more than almost any game.
Yeah, I would say it's very, very, very inclusive, that game. But
yeah,
sure.
I think so.
Whatever, Kotaku.
The Resident Evil 4 remake changing Ashley's skirt gives me hope.
It's so Tryhard, dude. It's so Tryhard.
Is it written by a girl or a guy?
Oh, for what?
I gotta know.
I didn't write down the
okay.
the
It would have mattered to me. For a girl that's like really like I just don't like girls. Sure, whatever. That's it. But if it's a dude writing this article, like go on a date, buddy. Like come on. Like that's what a lame take. I don't know. This seems Tryhard to me. Who cares?
I find
I don't care if she's in a skirt or not. So like I don't even care about like the.
It's written by a girl. It is written.
Is
by
it okay? I feel less aggro about it.
So it's not super.
But I think that's what I would call a nothing burger Tryhard take, where it's like
that's a nothing.
Nobody's arguing about this. You're making something out of nothing.
All right. What about Call of Duty dev visiting Europe, shooting old guns was hard work?
Wait, run that by me again.
So this is the Call of Duty dev : so they're saying this is what the Call of Duty dev is saying.
Yeah.
Visiting Europe, shooting old guns was hard work, is actually part of the title too, Visiting Europe, shooting old guns was hard work,
I mean, I don't know.
So it's
feel like anything tame, I guess.
I mark it as tame, but as I kind of did a double take on it. I was like, what are they trying to say? They're basically mocking this dev who was talking about how much work went into the next Call of Duty game. We're visiting these spots and shooting these old guns. So that it's like a mocking piece. And as I kind of glanced at the opening of it, I was like, oh, okay, they're like these dumb old white dudes with their guns, kind of a piece. It's one of those kinds.
I see now. Okay, so
but
I guess it's more tame though. Yeah, as a headline, I wouldn't have looked at it, because a lot of times to them a successful headline is one that makes people argue about it and comment about it. I would not have been inclined
What
to
about,
comment anything about
Yeah, I
that.
wouldn't even be inclined to click on this one. So it's
Exactly.
it's not a good article. Or
what
Yeah.
about this one? This is, I think, going to be one of our faves. Bobby Kotick has always been a slimy douchebag.
That's tame. I think that's tame.
That's Luke Cold.
It's funny.
What's the word?
Yeah,
funny?
it's funny and accurate, but yeah tame.
Derek, you like that one, right? Derek, you got to say something because the fans make a lot of noise. You got to talk.
Hold on one second. Well, because I'm not hearing anything. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay. Okay, can you hear us now? Maybe.
Yeah,
I'll keep going.
You just got disconnected or something.
Okay. Hogwarts Legacy gets animal rescue all wrong.
I mean,
It's fake.
yes, that's true, but so I guess I can't.
What were
really...
they rescuing?
Well, you capture these animals and take them to your little magical creatures.
Yeah, magical
Put 'em in a
closet.
bag.
So
You
we're
knock 'em
not
out, put 'em in a
actually
bag.
rescuing them.
Yeah.
Well, technically, the idea is that you're stopping them from getting poached and putting them in a safe place where they can live.
Okay.
I like to think that I took mine to study them scientifically.
Yeah,
That means
exactly.
cutting into them and
I don't
Yeah,
know.
experimenting.
Read. It's weird. So
It's a little tame though. This one, it's just
a little
tame.
Yeah.
A little tame. Star Wars Jedi Survivor looks great, but killing so many creatures feels wrong.
Oh, shut up!
Why are we
Oh,
writing
shut
these
up.
articles?
These
I
are
don't get
fictitious
it.
creatures.
That sounds like Tryhard. Okay, good.
Ugh,
That's a big try hard.
God, you're trying so hard.
Games for Impact is a meaningless awards category.
Oh, okay. I would not have expected that from them.
No, because I'm
Very
like, that
interesting.
category's for you. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You
Well,
guys
that
would barely
means
have a website if
again,
y'all
it goes
didn't.
back to what you said from the beginning, and that's they always are going to find a way to complain. Like that's all they're doing.
Professional.
Like if you
complainers
create a
with
gay
K.
character, they want to know where another gay character is. If you create a minority character, they want to know where is another gay minority character. Like they're always looking for more. They're never going to go, you know what? You hit it. We finally got what we wanted. We're good.
So I actually agree that it's relatively meaningless awards category. I think there's a better way for that category to be something important or interesting. So I actually kind of agree with the take, but I don't think the take is meant to say like, we don't need it. It's meant to be like it's not enough. But anyway.
Yeah, I think it's try hard for them, but like I agree with what they were saying.
I agree with the headline itself on its own with no
Dig
context.
deeper though,
Here's hoping Assassin's Creed Red learns from what Ghost of Tsushima did wrong.
They mean white people. They mean developed by white people. So try hard.
Yeah, this is try hard to me because I'm gonna go out and say it. Ghost of Tsushima, it's a near perfect game. So.
It's an amazing game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's not. I don't know.
It's almost like they were
Game of
able
the
to
year
captivate what they set out to captivate. So they
Yeah.
don't have to be from there to be able to do it. Like you can still get it done, and you can actually reach out to people that lived in those times and stuff like that.
Agreed. Three more real quick. Stray almost feels like a modern Valve game.
What?
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Try hard.
Okay.
No.
All right. Starfield sounds way too big.
Isn't that the point?
That's the name of the article.
I thought that was the point.
That's tame.
Definitely tame compared to everything else.
Big.
Right?
They're right. Like 2,000 world. Like that's too big. They're right.
That's almost again. It goes back to you're writing an article like, "Hey guys, water's wet. Water's too wet."
Yeah.
All right.
Too many planets Starfield published.
I think they wrote that during a time where like it was really fun to like shit on Starfield. Like, everything about this game sucks. Let's get on the bandwagon with that one.
Oh, like
too
kind
big.
of like in our.
This should be a story-driven
of
dating simulator. There's too many planets to do that.
Kind of like in our group, like they had this amazing showcase Xbox did of Starfield, whatever that was, a couple months
ago. And people weren't happy with
it. And people were just taking screenshots of the people talking, like the guys, NPCs.
Look at this static screenshot. It looks dumb.
Look at his
the
face.
girl
Look
from
how dumb
Fable.
it looks. Out of everything you saw, that's your main thing.
And the girl from Fable, they were trying to make it into a meme, and I was like, no one thinks that game looks bad. Like, I'm sorry.
No, like that was the dumbest thing too, because she was intentionally designed that way, and it was just a quick shot that you froze and made her.
I know.
It's so stupid. I mean,
they wanted to be the next Craig from Halo or whatever, that guy Brute or whatever, and it didn't work. Okay, last one. This is actually to me.
Our group is Tryhard, by the way.
This one's not actually very Tryhard. I think this was actually just a clever headline. I gotta give them credit here, as we've been bashing them a lot. I think this one's very funny. The most unbelievable part of Dying Light 2? ? Everyone getting vaccinated.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny.
Wow.
Is that true though? Is that true in the game?
That's why the people got sick and died, I think.
Okay.
At least I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think the whole point is like they
That's how the
are
outbreak
like trying
started.
to. Yeah, they're trying to find like a solution, and then I think if I remember correctly, they get it, and then they have to like make it.
Yeah, I think it
more of
causes the zombie infection to start
I
happening.
see. So that's what's funny about that. This is kind of a parallel. Kyle and I were talking about the Apes trilogy because he's going through rewatching that as well, the Caesar Planet of the Apes trilogy. And like, there's a part in the second one where they go, "Here's what happened: is in the lab they were messing around with things they didn't understand with the apes, and they caused the virus to leak." And I'm like, so they agreed on a lab leak theory like that as a whole population?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Right. We couldn't even get on board with that.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
You still can't. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I know.
crazy.
But I actually like it's easy to like Kotaku's an easy target. They are because they have articles like this. But got to give them credit. They do have articles that are cleverly titled, like that one.
A broken clock is right twice a day. You're right.
That's
Jim.
true.
Absolutely.
And a lot of their commentary pieces are pretty tame / sometimes even interesting takes. And they're like, you could tell it's written by people who like games and are positive. It's just the ones that catch fire and start getting shared are usually a lot of the ones we read.
Yeah.
Which I think, if we would just ignore them, those things would. Not all of them, because there are always going to be that group of people who are like, we've got to fight the fight. Nobody cares about your fight. Shut the fuck up.
Get a new hobby. You're weird.
But but I think it is our fault that we do share them. We do broadcast them.
Totally. We list them on a podcast.
I also think that it's cool that people are just writing think pieces of articles on the industry. And if there's a place to do that and you have some interesting ideas and you get to write it and you don't have to jump through all these hoops, I think that's great. Just doesn't mean I'm going to click on it, but I think it's...
I'm with you. I have no problem with them writing it, but part of putting yourself out there like that is, all right, you're opening yourself up to mockery as well.
Well, the only thing I would disagree with is for me, it's all about intentions. Like if your intention in writing an article, and I understand from a business standpoint, your intention is to get as many clicks as you can, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, if you're a source, let's say your main thing is video games, right? You should everybody that's staff there should like video games. You should be hiring based off of they like video games, and you should be talking about things that are relevant to the video game space that pertains to the good of video games. Not we are just writing this stuff to get clicks. That's it.
Yeah, I feel like they should be representing themselves as subject matter experts.
Yes.
My opinion.
It should be the intent should be pure, and I don't think, and I'm not just talking about Kotaku, I'm talking in general. The intent is no longer pure. The intent is just, I just want clicks because I just want your money or I want attention. Mm-hmm. And it kind of devalues the people that actually have a point and that are writing it with good intentions. Whether it's controversial or not, and they get kind of lumped in with the people that are like, we only wrote this article to fake protest to get clicks. That's all we care about.
Yeah, and to their credit, they had a really funny headline I saw the other day as I was looking through for some of these. Oh, here it is. Witcher. So this is about the TV show, the series Witcher on Netflix. It says Witcher producer says the writers do respect the book, then misspells character's name.
Yeah, I saw a meme for that. I didn't know. They didn't say which character it was, so I didn't know what they were talking about.
I just thought it was funny because maybe that's not something they should focus on. All right, the producer, yes, he made a mistake, cut him some slack, but also the context of that person misspelling a name is pretty. Those are the moments where you want to be extra careful not to get some detail wrong if you're trying to convince everyone you care about the source.
If you're making a point, check your eyes, cross your T's.
A little bit.
I agree.
Anyway, so that was fun. We'll do some more Tryhard Trackers again in the future. I also have some tournament ideas that we'll do on some of these weeks, so get ready for some of that. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you all for listening and watching. I think that's it for us this week. We are out. See ya.